thumbs in chat for this intro. I want to see thumbs. Thumbs. Give me them thumbs for this intro. It took a little bit. Hold on. Hold on a second. I gotta get everything ready for you. Alright, so now we got our accent light. We got red. Everything is in theme. Everything's in theme. Let's get the game going. I tested out everything yesterday. I know this works. Let's get it pulled up here. So I'm firing up. Fire it up. Deadly Premonition 2. It's like Dead D Tuli Premonition 2. A blessing in disguise. It's got some weird little number thrown in there. I don't know. For stylistic purposes. So welcome to the cool stream. First cool stream of 2023. The year of Swery. This is it, guys. This is the year of Swery. Swery X Cross Suda. That's what I'm hoping for. Hotel Barcelona. Oh, we meet again. Deadly Premonition 2. A blessing in disguise. 2 years ago, I believe. Was it 2 years ago that this game released and I put out my video on it? I still get comments about it daily. There are people that will defend this game tooth and nail to the death. How's the audio? Let's listen, okay? I'm streaming a Steam game, so it's using my desktop audio. So here's me talking. That's the game. What are we sounding like? Give me some feedback on this audio. Are we getting... I need feedback on the audio, or I will not start this game. I need to know. Too loud? Too soft? We need a balance. Okay? Let's see. We got a lot of thumbs. Thank you guys for the thumbs. Hey, Henry. Hello. Arunab Mahanta. Powadunk. Howdy. Fragile. Howdy. Dead Soul DX. We got Jack Frost in here. We've got Darklink 93. Too Deadly to Lee. And Musicology, an old friend. Howdy. Great audio. Game is just a little low. That's fine, Powadunk. I'd rather have the game be a little low. You're not going to be missing much. Alright, so, I played a little bit of this game before this stream. I got a new SSD on my PC. I just like reformatted my whole PC. I didn't format everything. I still have my old files, but I got a brand new SSD, top of the line. And I've installed all my games to it. I got the cool stream all set up nice. Here we are. Deadly Premonition 2 on the PC. This came out, I think, 3 months ago. Flew under the radar, pretty much like the original game did. It looks like it's coming through on 60 frames on the stream itself. YouTube's encoding's a bit weird, but it is coming through. a full 60 frames. I think it is capped at 60 frames unless you do mods on it, which I have not explored. Anyway, I'm at the part of the game that it takes place in Lucare. So the flashback, we're in the flashback, which is where the majority of the game takes place. And we're just going to go ahead and pick up Mr. Alligator, which is the only weapon in the game. So, unless you count the tree branch arm.
Mr. York, that was mighty quick. The special agent does it again. You sure don't waste any time. I bet my CLG's got a lot to learn from you.
What graphics card am I using? I'm using a GTX 1080. Just 1080p standard.
Mr. York,
No 4K on my setup.
I was on vacation in New Orleans before I happened to stop by here.
Well, shoot, that won't do.
And then I'm using an i9 processor. I don't know the numbers after it. It's like 10,900K. I remember I bought my processor specifically for hyper-thread rendering, which is what I use with my editing software.
Here, I got something I think you'll like.
Here we go. This is the weapon.
I call him Mr. Alligator. It's a tranquilizer gun for the gators.
A non-lethal gun made only for self-defense. It can only fire rubber bullets. Now, I don't know how this is a tranquilizer gun. Rubber bullets, you get hit with one of those, it's going to sting. It's going to piss you off. I'm not going to shoot an alligator with a rubber bullet and expect it to fall asleep or go away. But maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't know much about gators.
With this, you won't have to worry about any expensive roaming fees.
There you go. Early 2000s. Yeah, roaming fees were a big thing back then.
It might take you a while to get used to them, but you'll get it.
But yeah,
try letting them rip a few times.
The game has some anti-aliasing. I think it's just capped at 1080p, 60 frames. The texture loading, the draw distance, I think is a little bit better, but it still has texture popping. All right, so hey, thank you so much for the 2, is that euros, Fragile? A little boost to kick your stream off, Hikiko. I appreciate you, Fragile. Is the i9 really worth the 500 plus bucks? I plan on doing it a lot of rendering in Blender. For me, I've always had Intel products, so I have nothing to compare it against. I don't have a Ryzen build. Like, I have friends that have Threadrippers. But for photo editing, for After Effects, for Vegas, which is what I use, but I also use Premiere sometimes.
Intriguing weapon.
It works.
For a tranquilizer gun, it really packs a punch.
I just need it. My thing is, I need a lot of quiet operation, and Intel seems to like have the processors that keep the coolest without having to do a lot of tweaking with it.
But I'm afraid I'll decline. After all,
Sure is peaceful. At least the humans are, but the animals are different.
I'm gonna go ahead and skip ahead. We're gonna do some side questing.
Don't even know what to put in his coffin. The worst part is that taught the gators just how tasty.
We're gonna skip ahead.
You know he's fibbing, right? Gators don't attack folks.
We're skipping ahead. Skipping ahead.
Hey, what's your...
well, I need melt this.
This will be a relatively spoiler-free stream. In case anyone is still interested in playing this, I think anyone who's joined this chat has probably already either watched my review or played this game if they were interested, so we're skipping ahead,
Reckon I should end this.
You see,
Henry, I did not install any mods. This is the straight out of Steam build. So what you purchase on Steam, this is what you get. So we'll hop on the skateboard right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you this tree. So you see this tree here? The texture pop-in is, look, it just downgrades within, I don't know, maybe York's 100 feet away from it, but yeah, the textures just downgrade, or the object itself will just blink out of existence. So the further York walks away, it should either eventually disappear or it'll just degrade in texture quality. Okay, so we're still aiming at that tree, but it's maintaining kind of well. It's already better than the Switch. On the Switch, that tree would be gone. So I still think the draw distance is too shallow, but maybe if you do the mods, I think there's only just a couple of mods out there that affect things like the shadow quality here. It's not the most detailed in the world. It's not flat though. Like, it dynamically applies to York, and so that they're not the worst shadows. But things like the fence line on the Switch version would be super aliased and sharp. It seems like they did apply some anti-aliasing here. So, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Right now, I have the default skateboard. And it has, like, none of the perks. So, it goes fairly slow. I don't have the fast travel unlocked either. So, the beginning of the game is very much lots of running around town slowly. I don't even have the jump. Like, I can't do my kickflip for the skateboard. But you can set waypoints, so they're telling me to go to the diner right now. I think what I'm going to do is set the waypoint for the sheriff's station and see if I can take on a side quest or something. So the controls are a bit switched up because I'm using my Xbox controller, which does flip the A and B and X and Y, so my brain needs a little time to readjust. Yeah, look down at the ground here. You can see right now that the road texture is kind of blocky and loading in. There's what I call the draw distance bubble. This was very much present in No More Heroes 3 as well. And I believe I did make that comparison during my No More Heroes 3 video. So right here, this is one of the things you can do. Oops. So in Deadly Premonition 2, there's a ridiculous amount of mob killing. Like, the mobs in this game are like squirrels, dogs, alligators. There's some UFOs you can shoot down, but you can only reach them if you upgrade your what would you call this? A rubber bullet gun? Your tranquilizer gun? We'll call it the tranquilizer gun. Mr. Alligator. You can only reach the UFOs if you, like, upgrade the range on it. There are also things called red shadows that appear at midnight, or if you're in the Deadly Premonition, as they call it, the other world, you can farm them as well. You can farm them in Lucare if it's midnight, but you can also go into the old level. So, like, after you've beaten a level, you can return to it and grind there. But honestly, there's just, I don't know how to say it, but it's a really bland combat engine. Like, I don't know how they managed to make it more bland than the original. The original's, like, not the best in the world, but it's kind of like a serviceable Resident Evil 4. This one just feels like you're playing like the most budget Wii title. And it still kind of carries with it. Like, I remarked in my Deadly Premonition 2 video, my sweary file on it, I remarked that the reticle here, so like the target reticle, looks like you're playing a Wii game. Like, it's like this giant circle. Like, at one point, maybe they had the idea to allow you to take the Joy-Con and do some, like, one-to-one aiming, and then just scrapped it. I did read an interview with Swery about Deadly Premonition 2. not specifically about it, but he did mention like how the developers on it, I guess he was inferring Toy Box. He didn't specifically say that, but the developers on it just ghosted him a couple of months before it launched. And he said at the time he was communicating with them, there were 1,000 tickets in, like over 1,000 tickets. And by tickets, it means they have like a system where they organize known bugs or corrections. So like he was like evaluating the game and just like making notes like, hey, you need to fix this, or this is wrong, whatever. And he said they just went unaddressed, which explains a lot. And then he said that the developers ghosted him. They didn't tell him like when the game was going to release. And he found out the game released through a friend who was like, hey, congratulations on your game releasing. And Swery's like, what? Deadly Premonition 2 is releasing? So that whole interview kind of shed a different light on the whole experience. Like maybe Swery alone wasn't to blame. And honestly, in my video, I didn't specifically blame him for all this game's problems, because we all know that Toy Box, every time they touch Deadly Premonition, they end up breaking it 7 ways to Sunday. So it's... I don't know what we can do about it. All right, so here's some side quests we can do. It's like Xenoblade Chronicles. Collect a bunch of shit, kill a bunch of shit, return to quest giver. So defeat 1 killer bead, you get 1 bead. A wild dog, kill a dog, get a high quality bead. Defeat 1 alligator. Order 1 dish at a restaurant. The Wolfhouse Brothers quest, by the way, I made a video on the purple suit mystery for Deadly Premonition 2, how no one had gotten it. It has been acquired. The purple suit has been acquired. This was the broken quest line, the Wolfhouse Brothers quest line. And my friend Mark, who wrote the guide on 100%ing Deadly Premonition 2, he did it. He got the purple suit. I think it's still up on his channel, Roaming Murk on Twitch. It is possible I don't know if they fixed it or if there was just some combination of factors on the PC version that allowed the quest line to go through, but you can get the purple suit. It has been confirmed. Let's get some drinks. So in the game, there's a hygiene mechanic. You want to stay awake. Everything's kind of expensive, but we're gonna get 1 coffee. Let me see here. What was that sound? Is this seriously a tranq gun? Yeah, the tranquilizer gun is a rubber bullet gun, which I guess will tranquilize something out there, depending on where you hit somebody. But I wouldn't shoot an alligator with it. Just piss it off. Russian Name says, especially the grindy stuff, it's badly designed as well as in The Good Life. Yeah, The Good Life, I would say even more so. This game is somewhat more manageable. Like, I say that in comparison to The Good Life, but The Good Life is like scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to grindy game design. Like, it is the worst offender. So in comparison to The Good Life, this game is great. Once you've lowered the bar that much. All right, so we've got a bunch of side missions. I can go to the morgue, I can get the strike, and then we've got the killer bees, which I think I can just punch. I have to find a wild dog and an alligator. So if I remember correctly, the wild dogs are around this area, and then anywhere along the riverside, especially down here, is like gator territory. And the bees are somewhere in between the neighborhoods. But we're going to go ahead and set a waypoint for the dog. We're going to kill a dog on stream. Sorry, guys. What's up, Boner Man? Wanted Dead review when? I haven't played it. all my money right now, I'm kind of saving at the moment. I'm not trying to spend $70 on games at the moment. Maybe if I make enough on stream, I'll consider it. But my goal isn't to go out there buying new games. And my thing is about my channel, I kind of dip into more retro stuff or experimentations with emulation, or I tend to stick to games that I'm personally looking forward to. I mean, the thing is that the review market itself is oversaturated, and by the time like I get my review out, everyone's already made up their mind about it. I'm not like a world famous YouTuber. I don't work for any gaming publication that could get me an early access code or something. The people that are making reviews have already written it. So maybe like when I tend to visit a game, it's usually in a retrospective sense. The game's been out for a while. I'm not really influenced by the zeitgeist. I'm not influenced by the price of the game. I just judge it on its own merits after the hype's died down and all that. That's usually when I tend to review a game. But I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. It's just something that, you know, I want to play it, but I don't want to drop a bunch of money on it. I'm saving it for a very special reason right now. Some of you know what I'm saving it for, but yeah. Everything in my life right now is trying to squeeze money out of me, okay? Be it my car, be it bills and all that. Like, everything is trying to squeeze everything out of me right now, so I'm just trying to be as conservative and planning as possible, because there's something in my life that I want to do more than anything else that I haven't been able to do for 2 years, and that's my priority. But, you know, life has its ways. Life comes at you and says, hey, here's something fucked up on your car, or here's an unexpected bill, or the price of shit the price of everything in your life has gone up because of your economy. So just, yeah. So video games, unless I already have it in my backlog right now, I'm not going to be running out to go buy any more games for a bit. Unless it's something like Resident Evil 4 remake, maybe, but I'll try and, like, I don't know, sell something and get that. Or whenever the Silent Hill 2 remake comes out, I'll be definitely getting that, but that's on down the road. Right now, we're in saving mode. Save. Save and make sure you can do the thing you want to do mode. Okay? Sorry. I'm sorry. I can't be reviewing the hottest games all the time. But that doesn't mean the content's going to stop or anything. It's just going to be not recent releases. Until games are $40 again. Until games are $20 again, like the original Deadly Premonition. Sorry, count your boy Hikiko out. That, and I mean, like, a lot of new reviews have a lot of recency bias applied to them. I feel that maybe, like, you don't have enough time to explore all the nuances of a game. Like, what I'm trying to say is a lot of people who review games that are just coming out have a deadline, so they don't get to explore, like, what the game's all about. When it's a game I'm really looking forward to, I like to savor the moment and, you know, go through, try and 100% it, hear what other people are saying, like if there's bugs, evaluate the bugs, see if it's a problem that I'm personally having, or maybe I missed a tutorial or something. Like, really give it the due diligence. So when I do a review, it's something like the Swery Files, okay? It's something that I really put my full heart into, and try not to rush through it. I'm not a rush through a game kind of guy anymore. I'm like, let's stop and smell the shitty roses provided by Deadly Premonition 2. Alright, so I'm not seeing any dogs, but I know they do show up near train tracks, so we're just going to follow the train tracks. I'm going to read the chat a little bit. Save your money, says Boner Man. Yo, what's up, Bradley Anderson? Glad you could make it. if you ever need a handful of single dollar, I'm your man, Hikiko. That I'm not hurting. I'll say that. I mean, I had a bunch of unexpected expenses hit me recently on my birthday, no less. On my birthday, no less. I had just gotten back from the gym, and I got a notification that my birthday cake was ready. And this place, I had to kind of go out of town to get this birthday cake because I really wanted a lemon cake. And for some reason, it's hard to get a lemon cake in my town. So I went out of town to get my lemon cake, and I'm so excited. I'm coming home. And then my rear passenger tire just exploded. And I got this, like, warning on my dash. It's like, hey, warning, low pressure on your rear passenger tire. 25 PSI. Warning, 20 PSI. Warning, 15 PSI. Warning, 10 PSI. Warning, 5. And I, like, pull over to the side, and I'm, like, right near an exit ramp on the highway. So, I pull off to the shoulder, and I have to wait. Hey, $20 from J-Spot. Thank you so much, man. I prefer the Hikiko style. We don't need no new games. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have some new games, if I can swing it. But, as I said, like, I'm up against, like, wide publications that have had the game for weeks, and trying to ride that wave of the new game, like, as a YouTube content creator, is impossible. It's impossible to, I don't know, look at it in terms of search terms, right? Even before a game releases, people are already making like 1,000 speculative videos or analysis of trailers. So like the search rankings are just dog shit. So your video's already dead on arrival unless you have like 1 million subscribers, right? So you can't really beat the search terms. Like I can't get discoverability with a new game. That's the way I think about it. But when I make something like, I don't know, nostalgic, like my Xbox video and stuff, or I'm talking about something nobody else is talking, like original content, that tends to do better. So that's kind of the mindset I've adopted at this moment. Just for 2023's sake. Like I'm really trying to crank out more videos, not just like cynically, like, if I just keep pumping out shit, I can game the algorithm. But no, I'm just trying to challenge myself to release more frequent videos. But thank you, J-Spot. Let's go back to the story. So it was my birthday. I just picked up my cake. It was a lemon bundt cake, and it smelled so good, and I was excited to eat it. I was on the highway. My passenger tire just blew out. So I pull over to the shoulder, and I have to wait a good 10 minutes to get out of my car because everyone in my state speeds like crazy. There's like zero enforcement in my city, okay? No, nobody wants to be a cop anymore. And granted, it's a shitty job, but there's no highway patrol where I live. So people are like speeding by, and I'm like kind of afraid to get out of my door because I feel that they're gonna take out my door and kill me. Anyway, I get out of my car. I look down at my rear passenger side. It's just flat, and I just hear it hissing constantly. I ran over some piece of metal. I couldn't verify it on the tire, but it created like a brand new, like huge gash, enough to like where it wasn't like a small leak. Because I've had small leaks like where you run over a nail. I've had that happen to me before. But this one was like a big chunk of metal that it just went into the tire. And so I didn't want to drive anymore because I didn't want to fuck up my rims. So I called my insurance, and my insurance is... They have this new garbage way of calling a tow truck. Like, used to, I could call my insurance. They're like, oh, okay, Miles, we'll get a tow truck out there right away. They're like, you need to download our app and then create an account on our app while I'm sitting there stranded on the highway. Download this app while you're about to get hit. Download this app. well, I hope you have a data connection, because my data was, I was like in a dead zone. So I was getting like, oh, hey, a wild dog. Good. I was getting like no data. So I'm sitting here trying to download this 100 megabyte app. And so I wait for this app to download, and then I have to fill out all my information, sign up for an account, wait for all that shit to go through. And they're like, oh, okay, we're going to hire somebody that's 45 minutes away. So somebody that's like way out of town was going to come rescue me. So I'm just like sitting there in my car. I'm not even mad. I'm just like, okay, well, this happened. And I'm waiting for this tow truck guy to show up. And the place where I had bought these tires, like I bought a brand new set of tires back in July. The treads are immaculate. Like I don't do a ton of driving, but the treads on these tires were immaculate. They were as new as could be. It was winter time. Like we're coming to the close of winter, so I hadn't been like out driving too much anyways. So I was one exit away from the place where I bought the tires. Just coincidentally, I just had to get off. I just had to drive like maybe half a mile away, and I would be at the place where I bought the tires. So that's a UFO right there. $20 bonus. So I wait about an hour. This tow truck comes. It's a 7-foot tall giant. Huge dude. Reeking of weed. By the way, like marijuana was recently legalized recreationally in my city, so it's like everyone smells like weed now. But this dude was stoned out of his mind. But he was just like, hey, how are you doing? I was like, oh, good. My tire popped, and I just really need to go one exit away. Like the place where I bought the tires is like one exit away. Can you just give me a ride there? And he goes, yeah, sure. So, like, this dude just one-handedly gets my car up on this ramp, doors open. Like, his foot is hanging out of my car. I don't know why he didn't fully get into the vehicle, but this dude is just, like, hanging one foot out of my car, one hand on the wheel, just floors my car up onto the ramp of the tow truck, and he's like, get in, dude. I was like, okay. So I get in, and this guy is super nice. I tell him my story. I'm like, yeah, I went to go pick up my birthday cake, and I guess I ran over something. He goes, oh, man, that sounds awful. Well, let's get you over there. So he drives me to the place where I got my tires back in July, and he ends up he's like, yeah, here, I'm gonna go ahead and drop your car off like right here. And the parking lot, like if you ever been to a mechanic's place, like getting into like any car mechanic parking lot is usually a pain in the ass, and there's like no space because there's, I don't know, 30-40 cars that they've left overnight. And so that was the situation we were pulling the semi into, and it did not phase him whatsoever. Like, this dude was a pro. He did like a 5-point turn or whatever into this parking lot, like drops my car down the ramp, pulls it off, and he goes, hey, I'm sorry all this happened to you. Happy birthday. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and make the best of it. So I go in, I talk to the mechanic, and I'm thinking in my mind, there's no way these dudes are going to get me in. Like, never in my life have I ever gone to the mechanic and gotten good news back. I figured that they were going to back out on the warranty for my tires because, as I said, I just bought these tires. They have a 5-year road hazard warranty, which is insane. Like, what thing in your life has a 5-year warranty on it? Almost nothing. Especially tires for road hazards. Like, every tire I've bought in my life, they try and weasel out of recovering for whatever reason. So they're like, okay, we found your account. I was like, I got the receipt right here of buying these tires. He goes, well, what we got to do is check the treads, okay? We do what we call a tread differential. So depending on how worn down the tires are, we charge you the difference based on like how much you've used the tire. I was like, okay, that makes sense, I guess. So he's like, he goes away. I go and get something to eat because this place is like right next to a food joint. I'm like, this is going to take hours. I'm probably going to be, I showed up at 3. I'm like, I'm probably going to get out of here at 8 o'clock. If not, they'll tell me to come back. So I go and I get a slice of pizza. And then I get a phone call 5 minutes later. And they're like, hey, Miles, your tire's done. We changed it. I'm like, what? Yeah, I just got this pizza. Okay, I'll run right over. So I'm sitting there. I got my little drink. I got my pizza in my hand. And I'm like flabbergasted, like how well everything's going. They're like, yeah, turns out you had this warranty. Warranty's good for 5 years. You ran over a big chunk of metal. So we can't repair this tire. So we're just going to replace it. I'm like, well, how much? How much to replace everything? He's like, it's just going to be $30. Just $30 for everything. I was like, for everything? For a brand new tire and all the maintenance on it? He's like, yep, $30. And here's the key. See ya. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. I've never had that happen in my entire life. Just smooth, positive experience all around. Everyone was nice and friendly. They were super respectful. They lived up to the warranty. That never happens in America. I'll tell you. No, the warranties are not good for the paper that they're printed on, dude. Like, it just worked out. So, I didn't get mad. I was elated. I was happy. And it was a nice little adventure. So, that was my birthday. Tire popped. Almost died. But it worked out okay in the end. All right, this is our next quest right here. Alligator. Mr. Alligator to take out the alligator. I don't know. I haven't upgraded it at all. Oh! There we go. We did all 3. GG. If you didn't know, by the way, all the quests are just like this. So I then have to go cash in the quest so I can now hunt another multiples of 5 and then multiples of 10 amount. I think up to 50 or possibly 100. I also got a stamp book that I could check here too, so we'll set the waypoint. So that's my story. Blessed pizza. I didn't even have time to eat that pizza. I bought this large slice of pepperoni pizza and I was so sad at the time. I'm like, God damn. This is going to be one birthday, all right. So I'm about to eat this, my depression slice there. And I didn't even get to eat it because the guy was just like, your car's done. Get out of here. I'm like, okay, I better go home before this day gets worse. I'm not even going to tempt fate. So I just put my slice of pizza on the styrofoam plate. I just buckled it up in my passenger side. And I drove home with my pizza. And then ended up putting it in the fridge. I think it's still in the fridge. Should I get that slice of pizza for the stream? Should I show that slice of pizza that's like now 3 days old just so I can validate this story so you know I'm not bullshitting you here? All right, so we got Booze Me. I could go get a drink. We could go do that. That's an easy quest. I only got 3. Order a dish at a restaurant. And then I have to get 1 checkup. To get a checkup, I have to catch a cold. And the way the hygiene mechanics in Deadly Premonition 2 work is that they don't. That's the easiest way I can put it. They take weeks for anything to happen. I think you have to wait almost a full month to get a full beard. You have to wait a full month of like just sleeping every single day to get a tan. You can get a tan in this game. The stinky clothes, I think, is about a week. The way time passes in this game is just so much more I wouldn't say inconsistent as it is it's just hard to gauge because I'd pointed this out in my video, but Lucare is in a Punxsutawney time loop. It is Groundhog Day. The weather is the same every day, all day. You can kind of tell the progression of time when the sun sets, but there's no weather effects. None. In Deadly Premonition 1, there was cloudy days, rainy days, storms, and that would affect the citizens' routines in that game. It was a major part of the story. It was a major part of the gameplay mechanics. Lucare is just clear skies every day. And I found that weird because one of the big parts of the storyline is Hurricane Katrina shows up. And, you know, it's supposed to wreak havoc upon New Orleans, as it does. And there's no indications of that. Like, there's no weather warnings, nothing. There's no foreshadowing of Hurricane Katrina. However, if you play this game, it has like a clock. It reads your clock. So if you're playing on the Switch, it reads the Switch's clock. If you're playing on the PC, it reads your clock of your PC. So if you're actually playing on the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, Swery put in a tribute. There's an actual Hurricane Katrina tribute that if you're playing on that day, the music changes to I think it's All Lang Syne. It's not Amazing Grace. It's All Lang Syne, I believe. And you can go to one of the beaches, and they put out like wreaths of flowers that they send out to the sea to remember all the victims of Hurricane Katrina, which is sweet and thoughtful and something Swery would totally do. But it doesn't play. Hurricane Katrina does not happen in Deadly Premonition 2 until you've reached the story point in there. Now the game does track how many game days have passed, but there's no calendar. Like, it doesn't tell you that, you know, it's July 4th or it's July 5th. It just tells you that game days have passed. So when you get back to Casa Pineapple, the hotel in this game, like, you get like little placards that say 30 days, 100 days, 200 days, 365 days. So you do get some form of tracking, but it's done so bizarrely. Frame the Pizza says musicology. Yeah, it was a good day to remember. Is performance better, says Mecha Shadow. Yeah, but the thing you have to consider is that, like, everything is just uncapped. It was uncapped back then on the Switch, so like, you have better hardware here, so I don't know. I can't say the programming got any better because I did point out some things. Oh, the Owl's Nest is closed. What time does it open? Maybe
it appears to be closed. Let's come back during business hours.
Well, what are the business hours? Are they posted somewhere? I used to know these, but it's been like a year since I've played this or so. The Owl's Nest does open at night, so I guess I'll skip that quest for now. I'm going to go do one of the story quests and eat something at Alexis's Diner, which is another quest too. So we're going to do two birds with one stone here. Swery Skate or Die remake, terminal velocity at Radical Heights. Does the abandoned Six Flags amusement park appear in the game? Oh, I did see that documentary. I forget what that documentary is called, but no, unfortunately it does not. Though it would be cool. This game just needed some new areas or something to, I don't know, stick out, because Lucari itself is kind of bland until you get into some of the interiors. Casa Pineapple's beautiful. The diner's really cool. In fact, I think the diner might be my favorite location. We're headed there right now. Alexis's Diner. I think the graffiti and the exterior is really well done. There's some, I would say, diamonds in the rough here. Oh, it's open at 2200. Okay. So we'll come back at... I could smoke. That is a possibility. That's how you can make the in-game clock progress. It's not as cool as the first one, though. Swery's Underground, yeah. instead of, what was it, Eric Sparrow, it's, you know who. I'm not going to spoil who the antagonist is, but if you play this, you know who. Swery's Set Radio Future. I will say I do like the Deadly Premonition 2 soundtrack because it was composed by the same composer as Another Code / Trace Memory. And I love, like, when I make my videos, I always use the Deadly Premonition 2 soundtrack. I'll use Another Code or Hotel Dusk. I don't know what it is about that composer, but they make a lot of good generic stock music for any occasion. Hey, Ferris, good to see you. $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Just watched Thor's new Swery video yesterday. Got off work just now, and I'm greeted by Hikiko stream. How macabre. That story you're telling me is macabre. Well, thank you for the $5. I don't have my soundboard on me, otherwise I'd play the macabre drop, but I ran out of USB ports there. Just to get this setup going, I've used every USB port afforded to me. I could get a USB hub, which I should invest in if I'm going to stream again. Yeah, I'm sorry that the travel's so slow. I don't have any fast travel at the moment, and my board talismans are at level 1. DP1 needs a remake, and DP2 needs a director's cut. I don't think DP1 needs a remake. I think people just need to recognize that the first one is great. Play it on the Series X. There's your remake. Don't try and polish it too much, okay? Alexis's Diner. So this, good times roll. Let the good times roll. Elias Gus? I don't know what that is. There's some graffiti over here too. But I like Alexis's Diner. It's one of my favorite spots. Of course, they also have... Hey, what's this? Some shinies. Yeah, there's some graffiti on the outside too. Kansas City has a lot of stuff like this. It reminds me... I know this is New Orleans, but this reminds me a lot of home. And Swery does a lot of location scouting. He goes to the places that he bases the game off of. And a lot of them have true-to-life Americana.
Zach, it appears to be closed. Let's come back during business hours.
What are the business... I'm just lucking out here on the business hours.
Patty. I'm going to...
Let's see if I've got any cigarettes here. I know Alexis does take a lunch break, so that could be it. $5 from Julian. Julian, thank you so much. I had a USB hub, but I got too greedy, and I reached the limit of the external devices my motherboard could handle. My motherboard, I've used all the SATA ports. I haven't... I don't think I've run out of the M2 drive. I need to add an M2 drive. And I think I'll just migrate my OS to it. That's one more thing. I recently upgraded my PC, I think, a year and a half ago. So...
Zach, it appears to be closed. Let's come back during...
Hey, perfect. You got the FK and the coffee, by the way. Couldn't be more perfect. Donna Burke sings The Sins of the Father when York smokes a cigarette to pass the time. I don't like how they've implemented the smoking in this one. So what they do is York strikes up a cigarette. You don't see him smoking. You just see it implied. You see the cigarette smoke, and then time passes in the top left corner. Whereas in the other game, he would smoke, you would see the Evil Dead room and the clock spinning around and freaking out. And his beard would grow along the way too. Alright, so here we are. One of my favorite locations in the game. It's just... This has soul. But it does. It's one of the few locations that I feel has a lot of detail going for it. There aren't many locations like this in the game. $5 from Ferris Nagatome. Miles, do you think Swery is a fan of the classic satirical point-and-click adventure games Harvester? Between DP and D4, I can't help but feel that way. I don't think so. And this is coming from a guy who's read almost every Swery interview. I would know. If Harvester showed up, I would definitely point that out, and I'd use it as a reference clip. But I don't think he played Harvester. I might have to ask him, just to be sure.
Is this place a...
Oh,
how do you...
But I think he's more influenced by movies and films and TV and stuff like that. He wears all of his influences on his sleeve. He's not a particularly coy person about it. And it's gotten him into trouble in the past. So I don't know. Now, in terms of like adventure games of like your old Scum games, your old LucasArts adventure games.
No
Sure.
Nothing like that.
Hold on.
I mean, he grew up during that era, but
Creole cooking just ain't
Swery's also Japanese. He grew up in Osaka during the boom of the arcade scene, and he was also a developer of arcade games. I think he said one of his root inspirations for Deadly Premonition was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. He had seen that game. He had seen the open world nature. He saw the routines of characters, and he really wanted to make something along those same lines. I don't think his influences, run too deep or are too obscure like we would think it would be, because he's so bizarre. I think it's his own filter, his own machinations in here that once he absorbs, normie content, if you will, like mainstream movies, once they crank through the Swery factory up here, the output is what you're seeing before it. So it's kind of his own, bizarre facsimile of other games to come before it. Nothing's inherently original. There are some influences. In his own mind, he may not even know that he's doing that he's ripping off some things. And that's the nice way I can put it. I can't say that he's like one-to-one plagiarizing everything. I think that would be a little unfair to Swery. But his own interpretation is almost like fair use in itself, because it just veers off into its own realm at times.
Excuse me.
No, not prom.
Zach, it's time to visit Erzuli Frida. I'm sure we'll find something there that can turn the table.
Okay, I've got to go to the mirror. The mirror is where you get all the charms and amulets and things like that. And then I can do the bowling quest. What if DP was so good because it was in development for like eternity? It's hard to say. I can say that it may be lightning in a bottle. There are some games that just come out and either they're a reflection of the era in which they are developed, maybe that they draw too much from their influences that many people connect with it, like it's able to hit a wider net or tap into a niche vein sometimes. I tried to pin it down many times in my Swery Files videos, like what is the one factor that, draws me to Deadly Premonition. I can't just say one. For me, it's not necessarily all the things that other people like it for. I think it's exhausting to listen to all the same people come out there and say, well, movie reference, good. Can you believe weird animations and dopey smiles and things like that? The people on Twitter that constantly meme it up, I think for me, it's the heart. It's Swery's heart in it.
Just looks
Of course it...
His love for his characters. That's something that I feel a lot of people are missing. Like, every one of his characters in Deadly Premonition 1 felt like they had dimensions to them. And I cannot say that about a lot of modern games. Hey, $5 from J-Spot. Thanks, man. Gotta go be a dad. HDB sent you a DM in the way that I do check your messages. Hey, I watched this one. Sorry, J-Spot. I had a hard time interpreting a lot of those contractions in there. But go be a dad. And you're a good dad, so keep it up. And I'll see you later. So my thing is about Swery's characters, especially in like Dark Dreams Don't Die. I had this conversation with my friend Mark. I miss those characters a lot, like David and Forrest Kaysen. Every like weird eccentric character that he made, that they're so over the top, they're so well animated and wacky, but there's also an inherent line of sadness in David's heart that comes through his character and all his flashbacks and struggling with his recollection of the past and his desperation that I didn't pick up the first time around. But like when I went through and made my D4 video and I like really dug into all the notes and his observations, like what David was observing in the world, that is like Swery wrote over 500 descriptions. 500 descriptions for like mundane objects within the world that I don't think anyone else would go through the effort. And why would he do that? Because he believes the unnecessary is necessary. That's what I appreciate, I think, the most. And I think a lot of people that come into contact with Swery's work, they look at the surface level flaws, and that's where it stops. That's where it stops for them. Funny FBI man made a face. He said the thing. I laughed. It's hard for me. It's hard for me as like a diehard Swery fan. Like I've been playing Deadly Premonition since it came out. Like when I got it for $20 on launch. And I initially dismissed it too because like it looked very low budget. And like everyone thought, yeah, it's trying to ape on Resident Evil 4. But when you dig deeper into the development hell, into how Swery wanted to make investigation to be the core focus, and I think that does shine through in the original Deadly Premonition. Not so much in Deadly Premonition 2. The investigation bits are so understated here. But in Deadly Premonition 1, you're peeking through windows, you're keeping track of people's schedules, you're learning about the culture of not Rainy Woods, but of Greenvale. You're really following a legacy of this threat known as the Raincoat Killer and the impact it's had on the culture. Like, people still hide in their homes when it rains outside. And I love that. You don't get that level of detail in most open world games. They feel generic because the NPCs don't matter. They are the stock Unity assets that you often come into contact with in Deadly Premonition 2. We're meeting Galena Clarkson, who's only around for, I think, the first chapter of the game. It's like one of the only times you can interact with Galena. She does show up like outside a couple of times in this chapter, but I think you have to do all of the missions relating to Galena during this chapter, or you have to reload a chapter. I don't know. I only played this game for 100 hours. That's another thing that I've come to love too, is I really got to know a lot of the Deadly Premonition fan base from just being a part of the Discord. Like I got to know Whitney, who's probably the most hardcore Deadly Premonition fan and Silent Hill fan, objectively speaking, that I've ever met. And my friend Mark, who I grew up with, both he and I have loved Deadly Premonition, and he's moved away, but we still connect through Deadly Premonition. Like, me and him and Whitney went through Deadly Premonition 2 and The Good Life with a fine-tooth comb. We went through I get people that come to my Deadly Premonition 2 video like, oh, you didn't give this game a chance. And I'm just sitting here like, fuck you, buddy. I put over 100 hours in this. I crowdsourced information with the top fans of this game when writing it. I gave it the most fair and I don't know. I don't want to say fair and balanced, but I gave it the most fair look possible that anyone could, I feel, give it. Like, the benefit of the doubt. Okay, I tried. I really tried. Hey, $5 from 5 euros from Gardenback. What would a dream remaster of DP1 look and sound and play like for you? It already exists, Gardenback. The Xbox 360 version running on the Series X, okay? It's got anti-aliasing, it runs in 1080p, it has auto HDR, no loading times. Everything's in place. All the textures are in place, the camera angles are in place, the sound compression, it is the highest fidelity, okay? It's not compressed, it's not like some weird, like all the video clips are not artifacted because they were ripped off of YouTube, like in Deadly Premonition Origins, which is what I suspect, that somebody just downloaded a no commentary Let's Play and then just inserted them into the Switch cart. Okay, it's bad. And I think, like, that's kind of the point I've been driving home about Deadly Premonition, is that the reputation of it being a terrible game was perpetuated by terrible ports. If there's one thing you can take away from my Sweary Files video, it's that it was a classic B-movie horror experience with a heart that was ruined by other hands. Once Deadly Premonition 1 passed through different hands, it was stripped away. All the magic started getting stripped away. The atmosphere started getting stripped away. They started adding unnecessary bookends to it that were never followed up on, like the director's cut. Like all the cutscenes that they added and what have you just have no bearing on Deadly Premonition 2. And then they had to retcon it. This game, like Deadly Premonition 2, is the result of multiple retcons, both in eras of time of the first one. When I was reading an interview with Sweary, he was not a fan of linking Deadly Premonition 2 to the first game. Like, he wanted it to exist mostly on its own. Just like have a Deadly Premonition guide in, if you will, like a little side story. And I guess either the publishers wanted to connect it to the first one, which I guess makes sense because they did port Origins to the Switch, so they wanted to reward people who bought it. I wanted more connections, like the connections that they did lay down to Deadly Premonition 1. Your guess is as good as mine. What was relevant, what wasn't, okay? It is so hard to say what the core takeaways were from Deadly Premonition 1 that should be carried over into 2. I don't know what Sweary intended for it to happen, if he intended to reuse the same antagonist or not. I hope one day he writes about it and says, like, okay, this is what my ideal vision for Deadly Premonition 2 was, and here's what I was told we could accomplish, you know? Rumple Foreskin says, do you think there's a halo effect with the PC version of DP2, where the better visuals and performance improves your whole opinion of the game, despite all the known flaws? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, Rumple Foreskin. My opinion is maintained the same. Like, the performance is arguably better, but not by much. Not by much, okay? I don't think it paves over all this game's problems in terms of the plot. The plot is not that interesting. It's a confusing mess. They introduce multiple antagonists only as red herrings. And the overall wraparound story, like, that takes place in the modern day York, it's like the bookend. Like, there's like 3 different times where it takes place in the modern day. The only interesting stuff that happens, I feel, in the modern day are the connections to D4. Like, I like Deadly Premonition 2 for the closure it gave me with D4. But I feel that people who like this game tell me that they cried about it, that they got emotional, and I'm thinking, Why? There were no stakes. There are no stakes whatsoever. Everyone got a happy ending. No sacrifices were made. The shit that did happen in the plotline was confusing and only forced in at the behest of the publisher. Like, that's all the Deadly Premonition 1 stuff and the antagonist there that was just shoehorned in. There was, and everything is spelled out for you. If you like mystery games, that just points for you. Like, this is who did it. This is who did it. This is their motivation. No surrealism. No implied reasoning. No motive. They're just bad. They are bad guy. This is what they did, when they did it, who they did it with, and we're going to play out the entire scene for you. Here's the Ghostbusters reference for you. There you go. There you go. As I said, a complete Flanderization of our boy York. People who champion that stuff absolutely have not played through the first game and done all the side quests and felt the richness of Greenvale. I feel they're just missing a complete... I don't know. It's kind of like the same reason the Silent Hill fans are complaining right now about having different developers. Like, they're completely missing the point. I will gatekeep the fuck out of Deadly Premonition. I feel that DP2 has a solid soundtrack. There are some good environments here and there. It was nice to see York again. It was nice to give it another go. I'm not going to say it should have never existed. I won't say that. But I will say that it just... It is...
Come back anytime.
I want to say it's one of my life's disappointments. Okay? Maybe it's my fault for having such high expectations, but it just does never reach the same depth and development and I don't know, engagement, entertainment of the first one. It just never got there. And the people who defend this game, I think, came from they're the new wave of fans that got all the Twitter memes, all the Let's Plays where people just laugh over it.
You ain't gonna find
If you like Let's Plays where people are just like, ha! Ha! Oh my god! Can you believe graphics? And why? Game is bad. This game is so bad. Can you believe the Trimmers reference and this dude's face? Why did they ever release this game? Oh, so... And they're sitting there playing, like, Director's Cut on PC. Not even in Windows XP compatibility mode? Why game crashed? I can't believe anyone would like this game. There's no saving it. It's unfortunate to say, but I can't do anything to convince them otherwise. They are not... You can't reach them. And I'm not saying, like, it's their fault. It is not their fault at all, because Swery let the game slip through his fingers. Maybe it was more access games. But Swery let Deadly Premonition slip through his fingers into people that just did not care at all to maintain the atmosphere of the first one whatsoever, and just let him butcher it. They butchered my boy. And I really think if Twitter had not existed at all, Deadly Premonition 2 would be a masterpiece. It would be in my top 5 games of all time. If Twitter did not exist, if Swery had zero contact, if you could put him in a Faraday cage where he had no internet and no contact with the Deadly Premonition community or the people on Twitter, if he just put him in isolation, him and Goda sit down and write Deadly Premonition 2 with no influence during the gap for 10 years, he would have would have been one of the one of the weirdest, bizarre, unforgettable games of all time. But I think this is mean to say, but I really think Swery listens to too many outside influences.
Verily.
Just shut him out. You're a creator. Create. Don't listen to me. Don't even listen to me, okay? Just make something from your heart. Do not listen to Twitter. Twitter just is poison to the creative mind. Hey, I thank you so much. I'm sorry for the delay on the super chat, Ferris. I didn't see that. $5 from Ferris Nagatome. Do you think a standalone game where you play as just Zack would be adequate? Absolutely. I would love to see. I would love to see a younger York, like during his punk rock days. I've always wanted to see that, and maybe like him understanding his like supernatural side, like maybe like a Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of coming of age tale or what have you, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of thing, like where you got this young guy who is tapped into another realm. He gets all these premonitions and he's starting to understand that, because in Deadly Premonition 2 none of this shit is a surprise to York. We're already like, he's in his I think late 20s in Deadly Premonition 2. And he sees all the supernatural shit, and he's just like, yep, I already get it. Yep, that's a deadly premonition. Oh, those are red shadows. I completely understand why this person's turning into a monster. It doesn't surprise him at all. So, yeah, I do see there's a lot to work with there. Will he do it? I don't know. I'm not going to beg. It's a be careful what you wish for situation. Be careful what you wish for, folks. Sometimes like just having something you like is good enough. Like I've lived long enough to wherever I've been disappointed by continuations, by remakes and what have you. Sometimes just it had its time in the sun.
Strange feeling.
It was good for its time.
Surely you know that
in my memories it was better.
That one was
we'll leave it as is. I say that as I'm really looking forward to Silent Hill 2 remake. I am also sick of like people telling me like, don't play this. This is going to be awful. They're going to miss the point. Don't give them a chance. I think give it a chance. If Deadly Premonition 3 came out, I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't try it. That would be hypocritical of me to say that I wouldn't try it. I try and give most products that I play the benefit of the doubt. At least give it that. So, if it ever happens, you bet I'm going to play it. You bet. I think we've reached, I don't know, a degree of cynicism. I hate to say this, but there's so much cynicism that prevails throughout our day-to-day lives. Like, people have reached this, everything is hopeless. Don't do this, or just avoid that because it's just only going to let you down and stuff. Well, I guess I don't approach things in my life with that mindset. Just give it a chance. Give it a chance. What's the worst that could happen, right? But I've given Deadly Premonition 2 over, we'll say 120 hours now. We're going to raise it. Over 120 hours to wow me. Sorry, it didn't happen. It just does. It's not going to happen for me. I don't know what I can do about it. Writer with the Scarf says, this runs true for most media these days. There's a fine line for the era they released and the people that made them. Silent Hill was good for the PS1 and 2. That's it. It was cool. It was. I was there. I partook in Silent Hill when I was much younger. I was a kid whenever Silent Hill 1 came out. And it scared the absolute shit out of me. I would say that as I've grown, I have a much higher tolerance for horror, and I appreciate Silent Hill more for, obviously, the atmosphere, the music, the, I guess I liked, the storyline. I guess some people don't like the cult storyline of The Order, but I liked it. I like the I love the monster design. I loved, what else did I like about the original? The original one had a lot of freedom of weapons and reasons to play through it again. Just like old school unlockables. Different endings and things. Hey, Ferris, again, thank you so much for $5. Finally, are you hyped to be disappointed by Hotel Barcelona? Suda cross-sweary game is one I don't mind burning hard-earned money on. I'm absolutely hyped. That is one of my most anticipated games. I don't think... I think they have a more reasonable budget. I believe it was $1 million, which is an extremely low budget for both of them, too. In relative terms, if we're talking about Swery and Suda, that's even on the low end for them. So, yeah, my expectations are in check. It's not a good life situation. So yes, I will play it. I don't know what to expect overall. I guess there was a development delay because of COVID. So now that they're meeting up again, they're in talks. I believe I read an interview with Suda last year that he said that he was just keeping in contact with Swery via email every once in a while. But Swery was busy and Suda was busy releasing their own games, and now they're kind of reaching a point where development is happening. So, yeah, I will be following that story closely. Let's see. Hey, Mile, says Nav. How's it going? Hey, Miles. It's going good. Thank you. Kerbal says Silent Hill 1 is my personal favorite as someone that didn't grow up with the PS1. I played Silent Hill 1 at my friend Neil's house back in the day. I'm not sure if it was a demo or something. It was at... I vividly recall getting to Midwich Elementary School and just being terrified out of my mind. Like, I could not even traverse the hallways because it was so dark, and then you just heard the moaning of the... They call them the gray children with the little knives. I was scared stiff. And around the same time, I just played Clock Tower on the PlayStation 1, and Clock Tower 1, I felt, was the scariest game I had ever played at that time. Because jump scares weren't a common thing back when I played it. Jump scares were just not something that was milked to death. So when I played Clock Tower 1 and Scissor Man would just pop out and you'd hear this industrial music of things clanging and it's like do 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 do, and then you hear the heartbeat of your character, I would just be... I would get terrified. And I recall playing Clock Tower 1 and Scissor Man impaled, I think it was Helen or Jennifer, one of the two, impaled them just through the abdomen with these giant scissors, and my stomach hurt. I don't think I've ever experienced empathy pains before playing a game, but when I played Clock Tower 1 and I got impaled for the first time, that was it. I was scared out of my mind. I couldn't play that game until I had the lights on. I had a friend with me. That was one of those games I could not play in the dark. Now it's kind of silly, like Clock Tower 1. It's easy to know where the signals are for when Scissor Man's coming and all that, but I was terrified of that game. Silent Hill the same way, just wandering around in the dark, low draw distance. You could hear the radio static and the monsters off in the distance. But I loved it. I think that I just have this relationship with horror that makes me feel that way. Hey, Fragile, for €2, Kojima is the real genius. I do believe that. I don't subscribe to the notion that, like, there are some people that just call Kojima a pseudo-intellectual hack, and he hasn't made a good game since Metal Gear, and it was a fluke and all this. I don't know where this mindset is coming from, but to me, like, he's always been overindulgent. Like, Kojima's been overindulgent. He's been pretentious. He's done, like, long-winded Tom Clancy military plot lines since the beginning. Like, this is no revelation to me, and I don't find that as a negative. I enjoy them. I love getting lost in his worlds and or predictions, if you will. I I don't find anything negative about it, and I don't find myself as a better writer. I hate the minds. I hate the pretentious. If anything's pretentious, it's the mindset that you know better than Kojima for writing grandiose sci-fi worlds. That you could do a better job. Sure, I will say he could truncate some of his plot lines. That is very much that would be very much welcome in some of his stories. But what can I expect? He's I love Death Stranding despite, and I still get this. I think maybe people are warming up to Death Stranding. I don't know, but I love Death Stranding. I love the little bromance he has with Norman Reedus. Like just yesterday, he posted this like really cute photo of him and Norman just hanging out in some back room of a strip club together, and all the caption was with Norman. Just with Norman. All right, yeah, that's cool to me. Maybe I'm a sucker for the Hollywood nature of his plots. You know, I know what I'm in for. Nothing surprises me. I've played basically every Kojima game imaginable. I have Snatcher right here. Don't make me pull out the Snatcher. I got Snatcher, I think, for my 20th birthday. My mom bought me Snatcher, and she didn't pay a ton of money. Like, my mom bought me Snatcher for $7.99, okay? Because the game store that we bought it for just didn't know what they had. My mom bought that for me in a Sega Saturn, or Sega CD. My mom's like, "You want a Sega CD for your birthday?" I was like, "I sure do." And she's like, "Okay." So she got me a Sega Saturn and Snatcher. I'm like, "Oh my god." Best birthday gift. I think to this day it's in the top birthday gifts I've ever received. I don't think I'll be able to top getting a Sega CD and Snatcher. And as I said, my mom probably spent $50 all told. Like on the Saturn and Snatcher combined. My mom was a wheeler and a dealer, okay? She always went to garage sales and stuff like that and would always come back with crazy finds. She never knew like how crazy they were, and I'd be like, How did you get Haunting Ground for $3? Where did you find this? She's like, "Oh yeah, I just went to Kmart and they just had Haunting Ground sealed for $3. And I'd be like, "Okay, thank you." Rest in peace, Mom. Writer with the scarf. Well, there's one guy that can maybe do it better than Kojima, Fukushima Tomokazu, but Fukushima works with Kojima. Those two produce miracles that go above and beyond. I'm not familiar with that name. What elements did they work on? XD says, PT is a great game, but it created one of the most cancerous fandom on Twitter. Yeah, I agree with that notion. There's something about, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an English major. I had a double major, education and English. I encountered a lot of bullshit artists in my lifetime, okay? Just in general, in my life, I've encountered a lot of bullshit artists that can connect two dots that would not naturally connect and sound like they know what they're talking about. That's rich coming from you, Hikiko. But I think that over-analysis in itself seems to overshadow just the experience in and of itself. And I relate this back to all the Twin Peaks analysis out there. I'm not going to point out any single one, okay? But when something that was created by an artist that relied a lot on spirituality and dreams, surrealism in general doesn't necessarily have a rational explanation Okay, that's the best way I can put it. With a lot of works in art, in a creative medium, it doesn't necessarily have this influence was the primary reason this thing exists. Getting into that mindset, wrapping yourself up in that blanket that art can have a rational explanation, and that pulling this interview out from 10 years or 20 years ago and saying, oh, look what they said, therefore that's why this thing exists, or this is why this influenced that, or this is what this means. Like, yes, it's a fun exercise. I will give it that. It's cool to consider alternate possibilities, but I don't always think that they're the end-all be-all truth of a piece of work. For me, I think trying to overanalyze things, like there's a difference between, discussing with a friend, like, I think this is what happened, or this person's the murderer, or this is the reason for why this happened, or this is what the owl represents. Yeah, absolutely. Engage in a conversation with your friend about that. Explore these ideas and what it means to you. But what I have a problem with is like trying to force objectivity into the creative medium. Okay, I think that just ruins the conversation. It ruins, imagination. Because a lot of these works here come from bizarre minds. And maybe they can't, like, I can't even tell you some of where my ideas come from. Every time I've gone to a Q&A panel of, like, any YouTuber, like, I've been to YouTube conferences before, like, at conventions, where, like, a YouTuber will come out and do a Q&A panel, and some guy will come up, like, where do you get your ideas? I don't think everyone's can necessarily say where the idea, like, the root of the idea comes from. Like, they can maybe point to a few things that they've liked, some influences here and there, but they can't necessarily deliver an entire thread of, like, what sparked the tree of, like, the web itself, the web of the idea. What do they call that? That kind of plot, that chart with all the webbed ideas. It's hard for me to, in general, sit down and listen to, like, long-form analysis. Even though I've made them in the past, I try not to absorb a lot of other people's stuff, because that's their words, that's their thought process, that's them. That's them on their video or on paper or whatever it is. Okay, I try not to, like, let that get to me and dictate what something necessarily means. Unless I'm completely lost. Like, if I'm completely in the dark about something, like, I have no idea what's going on, let me hear somebody else's thoughts, then I'll seek it out. But usually, I think Reddit, to go back on Reddit here, but I think Reddit is kind of cancerous for creative discussion, because obviously you're dealing with a lot of drones that show up to these comment threads, and they try and dictate, like, what a piece of work is, because they either consciously or subconsciously watched a YouTube video, absorbed that, and then that's their opinion. That's the only framework they're working from. And you got to realize, like, how many people out there in the world there are like that. They're the most loud and annoying people out there. Like, a YouTube video told them to think a certain way, or to do or not, to not do something, and therefore that dictates their agency. And I can't imagine doing that. I can't imagine watching a YouTube video. I can't imagine watching a Hikikomori media video and walking away saying, well, goddamn, this game sucks, or, oh, God, I'm never going to play this game. I'm the kind of guy who wants to try it for myself. Like, I'm kind of, I guess, more skeptical. Like, like, maybe there's something, maybe there's a silver lining. Maybe there's a silver lining to, did he just come out of a vending machine? I think he did. I find those kind of videos, like, interesting, I'll watch like movie reviews, or I'll watch something that I wouldn't like if it's a work that I wouldn't be interested in myself, like Star Trek. I'll watch Red Letter Media's videos on Star Trek because I don't watch Star Trek. Like since the Next Generation, I haven't watched Star Trek. But I would like to hear their thoughts on Picard to see if, like, you know, it's worth me checking out. And for the most part, it seems like it's not. But it doesn't mean I won't. So yeah, like that's the kind of other videos I watch. Like I watch the Cinema Snob. He's probably, I would say, if I have an influence, Brad Jones is probably the most inspirational dude. I don't think I'd be doing Hikikomori Media if it wasn't for Brad Jones. I think he's the hardest working motherfucker on YouTube. He's stuck to his style. He's been through some controversies, not necessarily his fault, but by association, like with the change the channel shit. But he's like, whatever, my homies are my homies. I'm gonna stick with them. I don't care what you think about me. Respect that. I love Brad Jones. I think it's his spirit, because he's been through a lot of stuff. Like YouTube, the game has changed a lot, and someone like him, he's adapted to the times, but in some ways he hasn't. Like in some ways he's still sticking to his style, standard definition, same catty remarks, same sarcastic wit. Every time I watch a Cinema Snob video, I'm happy because I'm like, this is a dude who stuck through it all. He's got a good spirit. He didn't let the algorithm fuck with him. He didn't let people that have betrayed him, like his old homies that were either jealous of his life or jealous of his success, tear him down. He's just like, okay, whatever, let them do their thing. Let them do their thing. I'm gonna just keep making Cinema Snob. I'm gonna keep reviewing old ass soda. And, yeah, like he's like probably the oldest YouTuber I've been following from the golden era, I guess, of YouTube, and I respect that. Like when I feel like I'm gonna give up or I feel frustrated by something, I gotta realize, like, well, Brad Jones just put out 3 videos this week, and he didn't fucking complain. Stop being such a baby, Miles. So yeah. I would draw from him from influence. I've mentioned before that I was influenced by Twin Perfect in terms of editing, necessarily, like putting information together and putting it in a digestible series of videos. I really like their format. I like their camaraderie at first, but there was like a big fallout that happened with that group. And you know, I tried going back. Actually, this week, I went back and watched the real Silent Hill experience, and I won't say it doesn't hold up. I think it's a good, like, entry point into Silent Hill. Like, if you're unfamiliar with it and you want, like, a good rundown of the lore, I think, like, the real Silent Hill experience really doesn't get its legs until, I think, the HD collection. I think the HD collection that they put out in Downpour, some of their best videos. Like, they went, regardless of their conclusions and their targets, the amount of work and detail that went into those 2 videos impressed me, I guess, at the time. I haven't gone back to watch those. I'm not there just yet, but I really liked Twin Perfect. I liked Cinema Snob. I liked RMake21. Rest in peace. I gotta mention that. RMake21 was one of the first YouTubers I ever discovered who talked about games. Rest in peace. He recently passed away earlier this month. He was dealing with epilepsy, and it was bad. Like, RMake21 lived a real hard life, but he put out a lot of videos that influenced people like Spoonie, like the AVGN, and everyone that's kind of still around today can, I think, cite RMake21. His content's hard to find because he deleted his channel during the peak of it. I'm not really sure the circumstances why he deleted his channel. I think somebody had, like, doxed him and was harassing him or whatever, and he was just like, well, fuck this, and then went on and lived his life a little bit, and then came back to it later on. But that really fucked me up. It always makes me sad to see somebody that I grew up watching like die or quit and stuff like that. It's disheartening. But yeah, I've seen it a lot. I've been on YouTube since the beginning. Like, YouTube came out when I was in middle school, I believe. So I used to watch, early YouTube back then, and I've been a part of it for not too long, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, like with my own videos. But it always fucks me up whenever somebody that I grew up watching just quits or dies. It makes me nostalgic in a certain way, but I found that like going back and watching a lot of those older videos from that era can kind of be a rough experience because
Here we are, Zach.
old YouTube videos, a lot of them are re-uploads. And they're re-uploads of a re-upload of a re-upload. And they're like, not 240p, they're like maybe 144p with a lot of artifacting and compression and just awful. Like, the preservation of old YouTube is sad. And it's nobody's fault. Like, nobody could have predicted how things would turn out, but I'm not really sure, like, how many people are taking it upon themselves to archive that era of YouTube. Or who even cares at this point. So, yeah. I was,
Zach, yes, Zach.
I was sad to hear of his passing.
That's right. Lisa's, but there are no...
If you haven't, go back and watch Armake21's Total Recall video. I think that's probably his most infamous one. Maybe his Bomberman one. It's really a product of its generation. Like, Armake used to make these videos that were essentially guided Let's Plays.
Never thought...
Just stream of conscious Let's Plays. Armake was like a greasy New York Italian dude who kind of looked like Maddox a little bit. But one thing I appreciated most about Armake was he was one of the first people that made me aware of DRM. Like, there was not too many. Like, nowadays you have like Accursed Farms, you have Ross that's like running the forefront of DRM. I guess I'm a part of it now with the C-bomb stuff. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest voice, but that is part of my content. But Armake was the first person that got me aware of, like, I knew about DRM, like, whenever you played a Scum game or something and you had the password wheel, right? I kind of knew a little bit about DRM, but, like, whenever they started talking about, like, Ubisoft implementing stuff like Denuvo or CDs, not, okay, so his video dove into how he bought a copy of Fear, the Fear series. He bought it on PC, and it would scan your hardware to see if you had a CD burner. And if you had a CD burner, Fear would just not launch. And that was, like, mind-blowing to me at the time. Like, that is so fucked up. And they did come out with a crack for it. Like, you could patch that out. But Armake kind of just, like, went deep into the implications of that and how it was going to get worse. And it did get worse. And it did get worse. And I'm very thankful for people like Armake, who was that was so explaining tech to people, explaining software and the implications of DRM to people is a very difficult task to accomplish. Speaking from experience, when I was like making the C-bomb videos and I was trying to make the graphics that explain things, they're like, people would only take away like one soundbite and then come to a conclusion. They're like, oh, it's not a big deal, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Or they just would not understand it at all and say, oh, you're just a Sony fanboy or you're just an Xbox fanboy, and that would be their only takeaway. It's really difficult to explain the larger ramifications of DRM. and when you let big companies control the ownership of your content. So yes, thank you. Rest in peace, Armake21. I think his channel that he like made after that was called Waste of Time. Like, that was the second coming of Armake, was Waste of Time. So he's got some LPs on there that you can check out. He's got a few like podcasts and rambling things that you can listen to, and I did. I went back in time and I listened to Armake's videos, and it just, I don't know, brought a little tear to my eye. I'm like, ah, damn, this dude lived a hard life. He did. Like, he had epilepsy, and as a gamer who loves games, epilepsy is like a terrible set of circumstances to operate under, okay? That's hard mode. Being a fan of games with epilepsy really limits your ability. But I believe he said that his epileptic episodes, his seizures, weren't triggered by flashing lights. It was more stress. So I really don't know what set it off for him, but he hid it for a long time. But all this stuff's public. I'm not like revealing any hidden information. It was on his Twitter. I went through and I read like everything he shared, and I think he just turned 40, and that is such a young age to go. He lived a hard life, and thank you, Armake, and all the old school YouTubers out there that inspired goofy dudes like me to go out there and give it a shot. I would say the threshold for content creation back then was so much lower. Like, anybody could find success on YouTube. Nowadays, it's like the content's so saturated. Like, everyone has a camera or a capture card or OBS. Like, it's really hard to stick out now. So he came up during a time like where you could be a big fish in a small pond. But I think YouTube is going to go through some major changes this year. I know the CEO stepped down. So, like, whenever the passing of the baton happens, something's going to change. I'm not going to let it stress me out because I don't necessarily depend on YouTube as, like, my primary income. But I hope, I hope people out there that are doing YouTube for a living, that you're making plans, okay? You're making money moves to weather the storm in case something happens. I just have a feeling something might be over the horizon. I've been through a lot of major changes in YouTube, and this feels like it's going to be one of those years that maybe some unfavorable changes are coming down the pipeline. I can't tell you what they are. How could it get much worse? How could it get much worse is the real question, but I don't know. I think we're going to pull back on this one. Zap Brannigan says, oh, you're just a CD burner fanboy. I did have a CD burner. Oh my God. When I had access to a CD burner, my world opened up. Okay. And it wasn't for PC games. I didn't burn PC games. It was Dreamcast games. After the Dreamcast was already dead. It opened up a whole new world of Dreamcast games to me. And, yeah, music, of course. It expanded my music horizons. I'm very thankful for CD burners.
The human ability to adapt is a frightening
taking a little nappy poo.
Some humans have the power to sleep.
Okay, let's get some coffee. I'm gonna need to chug some of that. F for one of the original YouTube kings. F. Yes, F for Armake. I still keep in touch with some of the original YouTube kings. I'm not going to tell you who, but I am friends with some of the people that started out in YouTube, and I do talk to them, and I'm always interested about that era of time because I was a young guy. I was a young guy whenever all this stuff was, popping off. And there's a lot you can learn from them. As much as things change, they also stay the same, as they say.
Mr. York.
Time is a flat circle. But it really is. Every year I'm on YouTube, people that I came up with either quit, they disappear. I've had it happen to me over 50 times. Somebody I've been following or what have you just disappeared.
Jack, look at that thermometer.
And then they come back and they're like, Here's an explanation video of where I was. I had a kid. I got a job. That's usually what it is. I got cancer. Heard that one. That's always horrible to hear. And just appreciate, let me tell you, if there's somebody out there that you're watching right now, let them know. Let them know what they mean to you while they're alive. And not just on YouTube, but just in your life. Let them know, because I've dealt with death in my life. Let them know how much they mean to you. Even if it comes off as awkward and weird, like you coming out of the blue saying that, just say it. Let them know, especially like if they're like a content creator out there that's just, I don't know, down in the dumps or what have you. You're just noticing that their output's dropping or what have you. Just give them a heads up. Just say like, hey, I like, one of my favorite comments that I get on my videos, or not on my videos, or on Twitter or something, somebody will reach out to me and say, hey, I've been watching your videos since, and then they list off one of my early videos. Like I got that the other day, and that made me feel happy. I'm like, wait, you've been watching my videos since that video? That piece of shit? And you're still watching? Thanks. That's something that really warms my heart when I hear that. Shoot down the meat. Oh, oh, this is where I shoot down the meat. Okay, yeah. I remember this. Hikiko, you look like incredible value Captain America, and I love your content and appreciate you. Please don't get cancer and plan ahead if you have a kid. Thank you so much. Great value Captain America. Thank you. Which version of Steve Rogers? Before he gets the super juice or after? Probably before. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nero Smith. I hope not to get cancer. I don't wish it on anyone. I don't wish it on anyone. That, and I'm afraid of the Total Biscuit curse. Let me be real with you, okay? Fan of Total Biscuit? But we all know there's that tweet out there, that unfortunate tweet that Total Biscuit told somebody to get cancer, and then Total Biscuit got ass cancer, and that's all I think about. It's like, I will never, in my life, no matter how much I despise somebody, I will never tell them to get cancer because of what happened to Total. Okay, I'm not saying that's why it happened. I'm just saying that I don't want to take the chance. Okay? I don't want to take the chance. Yes, the Total Biscuit effect. There's some serendipity in this world, okay? There are some things in this world that you just don't fuck with. So I will never say that. But don't get cancer, I think that's positive. Telling people not to get cancer, that's a good thing. Hey, I'll have you know your Never Dead videos still hold up. Thank you. I try and bring up Never Dead as much as possible. I try and rub it in the faces of everyone who talks shit on it as much as possible.
Melvin.
As much as possible. In fact, I brought up Never Dead, like, in my past 3 videos, I think. Or at least in 3 recent videos I've talked about it.
Melvin.
And it won't be the last time.
Head back out to that merciless sun.
Rumple Foreskin, love your content and your perspective, one of the few real ones on YouTube. I try. Keeping it real can go wrong, okay? It doesn't win you a lot of allies sometimes. And people like to, like, I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. Like, honestly, a lot of the shit that transpires on YouTube and Twitter nowadays, I'm like so divorced from it. Intentionally, I've kind of like limited my social media, like, consumption. For my own health. We're eating Wendy's crackers, folks. This Wendy's crackers, that's our cool stream snack, okay? We're closing in on the 2-hour mark. I'm not going to be streaming for a heck of a lot longer, but we are going to have our Wendy's cracker. Every time I get chili at Wendy's, they give me a half a sleeve of crackers, and that's the only time I eat crackers, but God damn it, I love crackers.
The only
I love stale crackers. I love fresh crackers, salty crackers, stale crackers, pepper crackers, fucking Triscuits, Cheez-Its. You name it. I don't eat too many of them, okay? I'm kind of on a controlled diet. Somebody had remarked that I look fat in my last video, and I'm completely fine with that. Because for the past year, I've been trying to gain weight. I guess I'm in a phase of what you could call a bulking phase. And I've gained 20 pounds since I started working out last year. And I've never felt better in my life. Like, I'm able to be productive and lift things and use it in my day-to-day life, like around the house and doing other things. Like, it's not just to look good, but it really is so it can be more useful to other people in my life. And it helps with my mood. Going to the gym and being able to just get my frustrations out and keep a routine. I worked from home during the pandemic, and that fucking sucked. So I didn't have a routine other than work. And it's one routine I've kept for a long time. I don't want to get all gym bro on you. Okay, Hikiko's not going to get all gym bro. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. Do what you want with your life. But I have been gaining weight deliberately. I eat 4 times a day. And before I started working out, I only ate 2 times a day. I actually had problems eating. And I wouldn't say I had an eating disorder, but I grew up poor. And I was just used to having, like, what the fuck was that all about? What the fuck? Did that just roll out of a house? I don't have skitching unlocked. You can skitch on vehicles in this one. Welcome to Deadly Premonition 2, folks. But yeah, I grew up poor, and I would only eat a couple of meals sometimes, and usually those were the free meals provided by school. And I know that sounds sad, but it's true. Like, I just got used to it. I got used to only having 2 meals, so I was, like, always super skinny my entire life, and it wasn't because, like, of an image thing. It was just because I was broke as shit. And then when I grew up, when I was in college, it was during, like, one of the worst financial crises in America in 2008 and shit. So I was also broke as shit in college, so I only ate, like, twice a day, or at least one big meal. And then I just kind of carried on that habit until I was a teacher. In my 20s, I was a teacher, and I was stressed as fuck all the time, so I just snack all the time. I'd be drinking 2 chocolate milks, I'd have McDonald's breakfast, sausage biscuits, potato chips, like everything to stop the pain of being a teacher. Like, the existential horror of being a teacher in America is a terror and a pain that many should never have to go through. And I was fat Hikiko. I was big fat Hikiko when I was a teacher. And it was bad. Like, I was eating so much sugar and sodas and everything just because I was stressed as fuck. I'm surprised I didn't start smoking or becoming an alcoholic, because all the teachers I worked with were fucking barely functional alcoholics. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying that for laughs. That's some real shit. A lot of teachers that are still in it now have to be on drugs or a pedophile. Okay, I'm gonna say, I don't know how they maintain it for the price that American schools are willing to pay them, which isn't much. Okay, it's like $35,000. When I was a teacher before I changed careers, going in working, I would call it a salary job. A teacher is a salary job. The hours are not set. You work until the shit's done. You've got lessons to plan. You've got shit to grade. You got parent-teacher conferences. You've got after-school activities. When I started out, fresh out of college, full-time teacher, I was making $35,000, okay? You could make more as a shift lead at McDonald's than I did, and I was working longer hours. That's how fucking sad it is to be a teacher. And I think COVID kicked out a lot of good talent. Like, nowadays, if you're trying to be a teacher in America, they're trying to fast track your ass. They need a warm body in that classroom dealing with kids that, like, have already seen past the illusion. They know the high school diploma is worthless. They've been told the secret's out. So like when I for a year I did an internship in an inner city school, like a school that had, like, when I started, a kid who had got shot in the football field over the weekend. The first week I started, I had to go through metal detectors and shit like that. It was a sad state of affairs. And all the teachers there didn't even hold a fucking degree. Not even an associate's degree. It was a promissory contract. Like, if you show up for work within 5 years, if you get a degree and go through this training program, you get your certification. Meanwhile, here I am going to school for 5 years trying to get certified. And these assholes just show up and they just fill seats. They just fill seats and try not to die. Try to make sure nobody gets stabbed in the classroom. Anyway, I'm sorry I went off my teaching tangent there, but that's some real shit, dude. Like this, the state of education in America is sad. The passionate ones have been scared off. They found other careers. I found a different career. Couldn't be happier. Like, literally any pathway in America that is not teaching, if you stick with it, there's room for advancement, you get better respect, and you have a somewhat living wage. If you started just after you got out of high school and you stuck with it for 5 years, the period of time I went to college, because I had to have 3 unpaid internships, a student teaching. I'm not even going to get into that. But the period of time that I went to college, if you had just worked at McDonald's for 5 years, you'd be making double my salary that I was when I was... I'm not salty about it, guys, but I'm just telling you, that's how sad things are.
What?
I think they tried to, like, raise the wages for teachers nowadays and give them some other incentives to stick around during COVID. But now, like, where I live, they're trying to, like, lower that again. So I feel for all the people that I came up with and went through the education programs. Not a lot of them stuck it out. Not a lot of them stuck it out. It's fucking bleak, the whole state of affairs. Okay? Being a part-time YouTuber and being a video editor and a graphic designer and all that, no one taught me this shit. Outside of, like, YouTube tutorials. YouTube taught me how to be one. I didn't go to school for the shit I'm doing now. I just learned it. Necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, let's do some bowling. I want to do something happy. I don't want to go back to the dark place of my teaching years. I think it's not uncommon, though, that teachers become YouTubers, or at least are drawn to YouTube. I like explaining things. I like breaking down complex problems into terms that not everyone, but I guess a wider audience can understand. That's what's appealing to me, is like giving somebody an aha moment. Like, I get it. I get what you're saying. Being understood is hard. Even in your day-to-day life, being understood by the people around you and trying to communicate your thoughts is hard. And finding new ways of doing that has always been appealing to me. Like, really, what inspired me to be a teacher was I loved directing. I'd been a part of theater, and I love putting together productions. I love the tech of it. I love the costumes. I loved the pacing of it, scripting out, blocking things. And YouTube kind of filled that gap for me, that thing that I've wanted to do. Because all theaters are dead. The theater's dead. But YouTube is kind of like the modern stage, if you will. So, I guess that's what drew me to it. Let me just bowl. Can I just bowl?
Well then, if you'll one needs...
What do I gotta do to bowl? I forget.
Hi there.
Mark, if you're in here, tell me what do I gotta do to trigger Mrs. Carpenter's mission. If you ever make to my level... Okay. Maybe I gotta get a talisman to bowl. I really want to do some bowling. At least once on the stream. I want to do a lane, you know? A few rounds. Did I get free snacks, Musicology? I was a teacher for about 5 years. It was a secret. Nobody knew I was doing YouTube. Nowadays, like, my jobs don't care that I do YouTube because I do contract work. Like, I'm not really around the clients. They don't give a fuck who I am as long as I do the thing that our contract stipulates. Like, hey, can you fix this audio? Can you edit this together for me? Can you film this thing? Can you graphic design this thing? Can you help me with this website? That sort of thing. But back then, like, being a teacher, you can't... I guess you can. I guess you could potentially be a YouTuber and a teacher at the same time, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because the kids are nosy. And if I was out there making video game reviews and any one of my students found that out, I'd be like, fuck. There goes my credibility. No one's going to listen to me now. But I think it is natural... Yeah, you have to visit the voodoo shop. Okay. I figured as much. And get the alligator and set... Oh, I gotta go to her house. I got the alligator. I'll go to her house. Let me go to her house. I gotta drop off the alligator. I forgot about that. Thank you, Mark. Mark's in here. Mark wrote the 100% completion guide for Deadly Premonition 2. Mark is the leading, prevailing expert on Deadly Premonition 2. Not me. Mark. What was I saying? I did get snacks. Somebody had asked if I had gotten snacks. I did, not necessarily from parents. I actually had to provide a lot of the snacks if we're being honest. Oh, Mrs. Carpenter's house. Here we go. Like the rumor says, if you want anything done in your classroom, you had to do it yourself. If you wanted snacks, if you wanted supplies, if you wanted copies of something. If a kid needed a book and they didn't have money for a book, where are you going to get that book? All these questions. There's a lot of logistics that go into being a teacher. But I will say, one of the perks, the very few perks of being a teacher, was the librarians. Every library that I've ever worked at, they always had the best potluck. The librarians, like if you're a teacher and you want to find success, or if you just want to make your life easier, make friends with the librarians. They'll get you, they have a vast source of resources for just about anything. They have the best food. A lot of them are pretty good looking, I gotta say. They're like make friends with the librarians. That's all I gotta say. And they'll help you out. They'll help your students out. And it's a nice place. Like if you're just like looking, I gotta say, when I was a teacher, all my students stunk. When you teach teenagers, they stink. They don't know how to put on deodorant, or they put on too much deodorant, Axe body spray. And I had a tiny classroom of like 30 students. They fucking stunk. So sometimes I would just block out library days because the library was like a big wide open space. Or we'd go outside and read. I would literally say, we're all going outside. Field trip! We're going outside. We're reading outside. And it wasn't because it was just a nice thing to do. It was because they just stunk. There's some stinky ass kids. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Mike Reyes. There's little James with the chainsaw doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the leather face pose. We're going to get some bowling done on this stream. And then I got to go do my exercise for the day. I wasn't kidding. I exercise a lot. It's changed my life for the better. If you're down in the dumps, if you're feeling like an incel, lost in your head, and you're about to make some bad choices, just go outside and run.
Looks like it. Let's come back later.
Just run. Run from all your problems. No, just go outside and just get some fresh air, dude. It changed my life. Sure, it's not for everyone. I know it's not possible for everyone. And my life experience may not apply to you, but I will say, when I was at my lowest and saddest, going out for a run just helped me put my life into perspective a little bit.
Looks like a case of... Let's come...
I think I have to come back in the evening, so I need to get some cigarettes. Or I could sleep outside if I got a sleeping bag. Let's see if I got a sleeping bag. We could just take a little nappy outside and catch a cold. Yeah, I got some sleeping bags. Let's find a little campsite. Usually they're right out here. I don't think they're all marked just yet. We'll take a little nappy poo. If you're trying to grow a beard or get a tan or get a cold, taking a nap out in public is one of the better ways of doing that. Let me scan this little area here. We'll do a sweep. Also, it protects you from all the monsters. It protects you from the red shadows and all the other mobs in the game. I wish I had the fast travel. Maybe I should have played up until that point. So, you know, you live, you learn. Hey, we got a subscriber. Enzo Archangel. Enzo Archangel. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's been a bumper year so far. I've been very happy. A lot more people are discovering the channel, and they're enjoying what I'm putting out. I always like it when people understand what I'm trying to throw down. It's not always easy to get yourself out there. Take it from me. So thanks for all the subs, guys. Subbing is free. Where's the campsites? With all the poppin', it's really hard to gauge where everything is. But I guess I'm close enough to Casa Pineapple. I'll just go get some cigarettes. I'll get some cigarettes or just take a nap there. Does this game run well? Gani 25. I wouldn't say it runs great, but it is... I would say if you're gonna play Deadly Premonition 2, this is probably the best way to play it. But that does not absolve it of everything. It still has a share of issues. Poor draw distance, textures are muddy as shit. I don't think it runs at a full resolution. I haven't checked on that. Frame rate seems to maintain a 60 frames, but lots of pop-in, all the same glitches, weird NPC behaviors, cars clipping through houses. It's not great. It's good for Deadly Premonition 2. Worth playing 1. G? Is it worth playing 1? You know my answer to that. G, somebody tell him. Somebody tell him.
Very pleased.
Is it worth playing? I hope you're a troll. Am I getting trolled?
Serving you is my greatest pleasure, sir.
Adam says, one of my primary school teachers spent his whole year budget on many day trips, even to a cash and carry. Man, we must have reeked. Yeah. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you how stinky teenagers are when you're going through 4 years of college and all your internships. You just have to experience it firsthand. Things I wish I would have known before I became a teacher. Let's try, we're going to try 1800 hours, and then I got some cigarettes just in case. And then we're going to go bowling. Miles, have you read the Discworld series? You mean The Color of Magic? I've played... Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've only read The Color of Magic, and I did that so I could get a primer for the Discworld games, which I grew up playing. I have Discworld 1 and 2 Morality Bites. I love... and I have seen The Hogfather, but I haven't sat down and read all of Pratchett's work. But I do love the world of Discworld. I do love the games. I'm still a huge fan of the PS1 Discworld game. I like Eric Idle and Monty Python, and it just blew my mind. Fully voiced games weren't terribly common when I was growing up. So when I sat down to play Discworld and every character was voiced, and it was voiced by Eric Idle, who I knew from Monty Python, that blew my mind. Now, Discworld 1 is one of the most convoluted, cryptic, point-and-click adventure games you'll ever play. But if you play with a guide, you'll have a good time. It's a funny game. It's very charming. Now, I bet you didn't think Hikiko knew about that shit. You thought that was some underground, bohemian, deep lore kind of... I knew about Discworld. I was playing Discworld in diapers. Maybe not in diapers, but I was fairly young when I played it. Discworld Noir was good. Oh yeah, there is a third game, isn't there? I have not played Discworld Noir, but I did play... I played the Rincewind series. I recall. IIRC.
Bad timing, Zach. We need to place the figurine in front of her house when she's home. Otherwise, let's come back later.
Okay, so she's not home just yet. Let's smoke a little cigarette here. I'm gonna give it right there, because I don't want to trigger the red shadows here. Patty went home.
Zach, how about we grab a bite to eat? Not even bad timing. We need to play.
She's not home. Does anyone know what time Miss Carpenter gets in? Mark? I'm gonna call on Mark. I want to go bowling. I do have some lollipops. We can stave off some of the hunger gauge there. I got 2 more packs of cigs, I think. I got 1 more pack of cigs. Mark, if you're still here, I just want to know what time Mrs. Carpenter comes back. I could pull up a guide, but I'll read some chat while I'm waiting. I'll give him a chance to respond. 11:30? 11:30 in the morning? Okay. All right. I don't know if I can... If the feather... Or, I got the heavy brand cigarettes, so... We'll just smoke them. We'll smoke them, and then I'll have to go run get some more cigarettes. Okay, we'll try here.
Grab a bite to eat. Not even
Okay, we got it. We got it. You gotta leave the alligator.
Perfect.
Oh, my dear lost lamb. What are you doing there?
Pitiful.
This is all part of the Lise Clarkson murder investigation.
Something important, hmm?
Every time I talk to Tyrone in the first game, for a side mission, I would say like 1 out of 3 times it would soft lock the game. All right, so let me explain what's going on now. Oh shit! That's what's going on.
Mr. Alligator, I'm not sure how much help you'll be in this situation, but I guess you're better than nothing.
Yeah, welcome to the Videodrome tree branch arm section here.
Zach, I don't even need to say it, do I? This is right out of that movie. Videodrome, 1982, directed by David Cronenberg. At the time, it was seen as a hard movie to digest for normal moviegoers, but now it's become a cult classic. I always just saw it as another weird Canadian movie, but this changes everything. My arm and my gun have become one. Now I can really understand what Max was going through.
Okay, so this is the second weapon of the game, but it's just an extension of your rubber bullet, Mr. Alligator. Like, it has all the same stats, except you can do a charge shot with it. So that's the differentiating factor here. We're going to go ahead and go to Casa Pineapple, sleep it off, and then we're going to do some bowling. Yeah, my skateboard is super slow. I don't have a kickflip. I can't skitch. I don't have any of the perks. This is very early into the game. But if you strictly do all the story missions, you can probably beat this game in a few hours, I believe. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, thank you so much, Matthew, with the $50 super chat. Massive dono. Thank you so much, Matthew says. Tank top miles over black shirt miles. I think the only time I wore a tank top was in one of my Yakuza. I think I was either playing Judgment or Yakuza. Yeah, I do wear a tank top in my home a lot of the time, or at the gym. Not really in public, not always on the stream, but yeah, I wear a lot of black shirts. As I've grown older, I think half my wardrobe is like Louis C.K.'s black shirt wardrobe. I think it's just because I get tired of matching things, and black just goes with everything. That and I like I'll wear a tank top outside when I go for walks or runs, because it's nice to have the sun on my skin. I like the feeling of it. I like the cool air and stuff. I don't like feeling all soaked from running. Like when you wear a shirt when you run, your shirt gets all soaked. With the tank top, you get some, you know, more air coming in. You're able to, you know, cool off a bit better, I feel. So thank you so much, Matthew. With that donation, I might have to get Wanted Dead. Maybe I might get Wanted Dead and just check it out. We'll see. Thanks, man. Jeff Kramer also voiced Seaman. He sure did. In my book, Jeff Kramer has only taken the best roles ever. He's like that guy who was in The Godfather. He was like in all of Scorsese's films and Coppola's films, and then he died. I forget his name. He played Fredo. He played Fredo in The Godfather. That actor has only been in good films, in the same way Jeff Kramer has only taken the best roles. I'd love to sit down with Jeff Kramer one day, like Whitney did. Deadly Premonition Archives. They have a good interview with Jeff Kramer and his thoughts and feelings on it. I think Jeff had never played Deadly Premonition. Like after it came out, it just went off into the void, and he had heard it got made, and then he like saw it on YouTube, and he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I kind of like that distance he had from the material. I really want to know what he thinks about Seaman, though. That was my first exposure to Jeff Kramer. Actually, there's one other thing that I know Jeff Kramer's been a part of, and I've been keeping it under my hat because I do want to bring it up in a video, and I don't want it showing up in anyone else's video before I get a chance to say it. But Jeff Kramer has done another role that he's uncredited for. He's not listed for this like on IMDb, but he is in the game's credits, and it's so bizarre. I could not believe it was him. It'll be in a future video. I'll bring it up then. But I've held on to it for a few years. I'm like, oh shit, this is Jeff Kramer. This is York. All right, let's do some bowling. We're going to wrap things up on some nice, relaxing bowling. Has he played Seaman? I'm not sure. La Horde de Wesker. Oh my god, hope you're having a good time, Hikiko. Love your channel. I am. Thanks, man. Thank you, Wesker. Wesker! Chris! I recently watched the final Resident Evil movie. Is she not here? Is Miss Carpenter still not here? Golly. Okay, let's order something. I'm just terrible at timing.
Oh my lord, y'all. Listen,
What's wrong?
Miss, for the first time in 10 years.
Alexis reminds me of when I was in high school. I had a culinary arts teacher that was from New Orleans, and when I was in high school, Hurricane Katrina happened, so she was like directly affected by it. But she had the same like deep South dialect that Alexis had. She had the same hairstyle as Alexis. So every time I see Alexis, it just reminds me of my old teacher. Which I was like, did Swery end up meeting my old teacher? Was he inspired by her? We're going to get a chocolate sundae. That sounds pretty good. I think I want to go to McDonald's and get a chocolate sundae. Yeah. So let's make sure that it says, yeah, just get a strike. So she's going to show up eventually, Miss.
You're not going to let me. Sometimes taking the most roundabout, isn't that right?
Okay, I think I triggered the other quest. Here we go, here we go. Finally, some bowling.
Wanted to bowl that bad?
I sure did, Patty.
They don't
You have to bowl
bowling
without her.
lanes
That's
in the
fine.
city no
That's
more?
good. I just want to do some bowling.
Wrong, Patty.
It was a great game, Zap.
I have absolutely.
It was
no
a great
interest in
game.
bowling.
And it
Plus,
was a
it has
decent
ball,
roll.
Lined up pins. Where's the? You can't even call this a sport. It's a game for cavemen.
Adam Furness says John Cazile. That's him. Yeah,
Nonsense.
John
Then
Cazile.
Can I throw the ball instead?
He was
Absolutely. I need.
in nothing. I think he got
You're
like
the one who's stupid.
the ratio of like classic movies
Sure
he's
looks like-
been a part of. John Cazile, I think every movie he did, like either won an Oscar or was like just highly rated in general in terms of like the best career path you could have possibly taken. John Cazile is that actor. Maybe York would know this. Why don't I ask York? All right. This takes me back. Oh my god, trying to do the 7-10 split on this shit. Market, I think I spent an entire like 6 hours trying to get one of these challenges. Oh my god, and I have none of the perks. Yeah, I got none of the perks. Good luck. GG. I think I gotta bowl a strike. Is that the objective on this one? Oh, I didn't angle it. I can put some spin on it, though. It's gonna be a gutter. It's heading for the gutter. Ferris Nagatome! Oh my god! Thank you so much! Oh my... Ferris with $100! I'm blown away. Thank you, Ferris. Miles, I don't know if you or Thor HH would do a deep dive on it, but supposedly Wanted Dead is in the same universe of that Wii U game Devil's Third. Also, one of the loading screens of the game is a recreation of the Super Hot Fire. Psych, it's just the wrong number meme. Would I do? I gotta do Wanted Dead now, right? I have a friend right now that's currently reviewing the game, and they're telling me that everything they've told me about the game sounds like something that I would personally enjoy. I played Devil's Third when it came out. In fact, there's a video on this channel of me and my friend David. We played Devil's Third for online, back when online was still a thing. I think we played some of the single player as well. I thought it was okay. you know, not the worst game. He had rented it from GameFly, so that's how I had access to it. My biggest regret is I didn't like pick up a copy when it was cheap, because it's one of the rarest North American Wii U games, hands down. So my first thing is to get a copy of Devil's Third. I could pirate it pretty easy, I think. Or I think it's on Steam now. So yeah, I'd have to do that. I was thinking about doing a Big Dudes on Itagaki one of these days. So yeah, Ferris, it's not out of the realm of possibility, I'll put it that way. Now I gotta look into it. Holy shit, thank you, Ferris. I hope you have a great day. You've certainly made my week. Oh my god. That's really gonna, like... I've had, like, a lot of just crazy expenses just, like, crop up, and I'm like, god damn. So, yeah, and you're not the only one. A shout out to everyone who's donated. I also got a major shout out to Matthew as well for the $50 super chat. You guys, not an expectation. Much appreciated, though. Much appreciated. Golly. We got the strike! There it is.
That was just a stroke, despite how
Mrs. Carpenter, out of all the characters in this game, has like one of the biggest foul mouths.
That's right.
not
She just like goes completely hard.
Well, I guarantee come back and see. I'm sure my...
Whenever you, I think it's when you do the 7-10 split, she just flips the fuck out. It's great.
but you shouldn't have.
You're unbelievable.
Sorry, I had to switch over to chat real quick. John Cazile was taken too young. I agree with
So
that.
strange, Zach.
Hassicans,
I
thank
feel
you,
like I'm
Sentry.
discovering
Thanks
that-
to all the members, too, that have joined. I wanted to do a cool stream with a game that I knew people would turn up for. And people who watch this channel definitely... You showed, like, monumental support today, so I'm very happy for that. I appreciate you guys.
Zach, we first it must end the following.
Every single
Yes,
super chat,
Well,
all the ad money, all the patron stuff literally goes back into the channel. Either maintaining equipment, buying plugins for all the different editing shit I do. Like, not always buying games, but like buying equipment. So for that Xbox video,
hi there.
like I have like various different systems and accessories and hard to find games. Like that really helps out with that. I also bought, I'll show you what else I bought recently for the channel, which is really going to help when I go back to Japan. Let me show you this. This is a gimbal. It's got a little clamp on there, a little claw for my phone. And what a gimbal does, it also has like a PlayStation. It was modeled after the PlayStation Move. So I can like angle shots and I can like focus on a subject. And what it does is it's a motorized gimbal, a Steadicam, if you will. So when I have my phone clamped in there, I can paint a target with my phone and it like will do tracking shots without all the shaking you see. You know how you see a movie and it's like all shaky camera? It balances out the shakiness. And it's retractable. So I can just hold it like a selfie stick. And it also has a little tripod on it too. This is called the DJI. I don't know what the exact name for it is, but the OM. I think it's called the DJI OM. And so I got this with shit I made from the channel. And I used it in my Xbox video. If you look back at that video, you'll see like weird 3D pans around like systems and games. And I used my phone and I used this to film that. So I'm able to get some better shots, cool stuff like that. And it makes like the the workflow that much better for me, because I also have a film cam that AVGN and RLM used to use. Like, I bought it. It's like 10 years out of date, but I use that for a lot of my subject shots here. But my phone is like a way more convenient to film shit with. So when I go to Japan this year, I am going to Japan. Confirmed, Japan 2 is happening. I will be able to... Let's do another one while I'm talking here.
Hello, ma'am.
Oh, Miss After
Yes, that's...
I'll be able to film like man on the street while I'm out there, while I'm walking around. Woo! And I can, I don't know, do different angles. I can film above me, like hold it up, and get shots behind me. So yeah, that's where your money's going, and it's all appreciated, and it helps the channel. And I hope you've been enjoying the content this year thus far. I'm trying to get more regular content out. Like, I've really been, I think, on a roll. I think I've put out 4 videos so far this year, which is a lot for me. I usually average like 1 a month, so it ain't going to any like baby mamas or drugs or anything like that. I'm being serious with you. This channel doesn't make a ton of money, okay? Let me let you in on a little secret. It doesn't make a ton of money. So a lot of times I just have to save and just like put it away until I can't afford the thing I want to cover. So thank you. Wanted Dead reviews are threatening me with a good time. Yeah, I watched the trailer, and the trailer itself is like very surreal. Obviously, the first thing people will notice is the voice acting sounds like Itagaki hired somebody from Fiverr to do the voice acting. So, I don't know if it's going... It seems like it's going for a more tongue-in-cheek vibe about it. So, I'm not going to judge it too harshly for that. So, my girlfriend got me Ishin for my birthday. It's supposed to be... The physical copy's coming out next week. You know me, I'm a physical copy guy. So I was going to play that. Last night I did play the demo of Ishin. Just the combat tutorial. I had played the original Ishin, God, I don't even know. Like when the PS4 first came out, I created like a Japanese account just so I could play the demo of it. And I thought it was a beautiful game. So I'm really excited to finally get down with that. So I'll be playing some Ishin. I usually don't make... Like, I've talked about the Yakuza series multiple times on my channel. And I did talk about Dead Souls once. Just in terms of slight recommendation of that for my PS3 video. I'm not planning on reviewing Ishin. It's just like a game I play in my own recreational time because I feel people have already cornered that market, if you will. The Yakuza market. There are people that have established themselves, let's put it this way, that for Yakuza content. So I don't feel like me throwing my hat into an entire retrospective of Yakuza would be apropos at this point in time. Yeah, Mark's got it because I think you pre-ordered it on Steam, and if you have it on Steam, you can play it a few days in advance, which is weird. They need to come up... Hey, we got a strike. They need to come up with a way for physical... people who buy the physical game to play it early, but I just don't think there's any way of doing it without creating 2 copies of the game. But nowadays, I mean, a lot of physical games are just vouchers anyways, or stubs. Yeah, I got Yakuza physically on the Xbox because I am part of like a very small community of gamers out there that are trying to, I don't know, vote with my wallet, if you will, for more Japanese games on the series line in Xbox consoles. We're slowly getting some. We got the Persona series. It's been pretty good about Final Fantasy. I mean, it has Deadly Premonition, which is more than the PS5 can say. But I tend, like, Xbox, everyone calls me a fanboy about it, but it's my console of choice when it comes to capturing things. When I look at video game systems, I come at it from, like, the mind of an editor who captures his own footage, okay? Not everyone approaches YouTube that way. You know, they just rip what they need from YouTube and just go about their business. I try and capture all my own footage of my gameplay because I feel like that is my experience. Like, that is the documentation of my experience. So Xbox is my console of choice for a couple of reasons. As I've documented, it's an emulator powerhouse. Like, I'm able to play a lot of 360 games to completion. I mean, like, the official backwards compatibility, but now Zinnia. I can run PS2 on it. I can run retro consoles on it. Wii on it. Xbox original games, 360, Xbox One, and Series games, which are mostly third-party. Not too many exclusives. Which doesn't bother me, because I think the Series X is living up to the promise of the Xbox One. It is literally a console that plays multiple generations of games in the most quick and convenient way possible, where I'm not having to plug in multiple systems. That's the best way I can put it from an editor's point of view. I don't give a shit about Microsoft versus Sony. Never have, never will. Versus Nintendo, I guess, in there too. Doesn't matter to me. If I'm able to play things quickly, I'm an adult. My time can be limited sometimes, so I just want to go in and play. And the Series X has a feature for that. It's called Quick Resume. And I think you don't understand Quick Resume till you've done it. If you've experienced Quick Resume, I can juggle 7 games. It saves a state. You're playing a game, you quit the game, it saves your spot. It bookmarks it. You got a bookmark there. And then when you want to come back to that game, maybe you switch to another game. You come back to that game, boom, quick resume. You're back in that game. The first time that happened to me, I was like juggling between Alan Wake on the 360 and Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. And I could just bounce between those two games. It was the most surreal gaming experience I've had in some time. That I was able to just instantly, I'm back in Yakuza. Instantly, I'm back in Alan Wake. And I use that feature so much. And that's one of my gripes with the PS5 is it doesn't have Quick Resume. I hope it gets Quick Resume. I'm not trying to make fun of Sony fans or whatever, but it doesn't have Quick Resume. What do you want me to say? I love that feature so much. So when a game comes out, I typically buy it on Xbox for Quick Resume. Amit Facade says, Xbox Series is basically the ultimate gaming platform right now. I mean, there's PC. There's always going to be that guy that comes in. Hey, PC, do you know about PC? Do you know 4K gaming? 60 frames? Do you know better VR? I can play whatever I want. I can pirate it. I got it, bro. It's fine. I got it, bro. It's fine. You're good. Much love. But I have a hard time communicating to people that I use my PC for work. My PC is how I make money. And it's hard for me to separate that in my mind. When I'm at my workstation, that's a place for work. When I'm at my console, that's a place for play. And that's how I make those distinctions in my head. And that's me. You don't have to agree with me. Some people can do that separation. But when I'm on my PC, that's when I'm getting shit done so I can live. And then I just want to be off my PC and I just want to hold a controller. Yes, I know I can plug in. I can consoleize my PC. It's possible. I've done it. And I'm slowly getting back into PC gaming. I'm playing Iki Unite with my friend Mark. He got it for me for my birthday, and we've been playing that together. So games that are exclusive to the PC, I play them on PC. But if it comes out on console, there's a value judgment I make as a gamer. Is this a grindy RPG? Do I want to be able to play this like on an airplane or on the bus or something? I'll go for a Switch. Is this a game that I want to really invest myself in and pay attention to everything? And it's available on PS5 and Xbox? Well, then I'm going to go Xbox. Is this a PS5 exclusive? Of course, I'm going to get it over PC. I'd get the PS5 exclusive on the platform. But my experience with the PS5 thus far has been I didn't want to get it in the first place because none of the exclusives really appealed to me. I really don't care for many of the PlayStation exclusives at all. Most of the games I'm into nowadays are third party. I don't like the design of the PS5. I've said this before. It's way too big for its own good. It's a bit noisy sometimes. And I dust my consoles regularly. But I wanted to wait for a slim version, but I had the opportunity to get one for my C-Bomb video. So I did, the first day I got my PS5 was to tear it open and make that C-Bomb video. I got it straight out of the box, and the first thing I was doing was tearing it open to make that video. So, yeah, I didn't necessarily want to get one in the first place, but I gave it a chance. I think that I'm not a fan of like modern day Sony. I don't like its leadership, and that's hard for me to say because Sony was my favorite console for my entire life. The PlayStation 1, the PS2 is my favorite console ever. I have more fond memories and nostalgic happy thoughts and member berries with the PlayStation 2 than any console in my lifetime. I still play PlayStation 2 games to this day. I don't think I'll ever be able to finish my PS2 backlog. But the way Sony neglects their legacy titles is just disgusting. And they don't give a fuck. Jim Ryan does not give a fuck. And it, like, people apologize for Sony because sometimes Microsoft makes worse decisions, like with their DRM and stuff. But Microsoft's doing this. Like, okay, I get it. There's an argument to be made, but I feel like comparing the two defeats the purpose. Don't let either of them off the hook is my mindset. Call them both out. Don't play favorites. But the PS5, like, my girlfriend plays more of the PS5 than I do because she's an Atelier fan. I got her Ryza 3. I ordered her, like, Ryza 3 sometime last year, and it's been delayed. And I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to even play the PS5 because Ryza 3 and Yakuza are coming out. So that's also a decision I make there, too, is like, well, she wants to play the PS5, and she doesn't have a lot of time to play it, so I don't want to get in her way. I'll just get Yakuza for the Xbox. So, yeah, that's another reason. But the thing about the PS5 that interests me the most is something I cannot afford to get, and that's PSVR 2. My favorite thing about last generation was PSVR. Like, PSVR had some really great, fun titles. The most experimental shit Sony put out of that generation was PSVR titles. So PSVR 2 is coming out, and it's like $600, guys. I cannot justify that. I cannot justify a $600 purchase for almost anything in life. Okay? That is wild. I heard you can use it on PC, so that does add some value in my mind. Like, okay, if I'm not just using it on PS5, I'm using it on something else. Sure. But that's something I want to get when it comes down in price. I'm very curious to see. One thing that turns me off of PSVR 2 is it's not backwards compatible with, I would say, 90% of the PSVR 1 library. Unless it's like specifically updated. I think Moss is getting an update for PSVR 2. But for the most part, they're abandoning the first library, which sucks because I loved a lot of those games. So yeah, in terms of like games I'm excited for this year, they're not first-party exclusives. I'm looking forward to Starfield. I'm looking forward to Hotel Barcelona, of course. Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 4. Was there anything else? Those are the main ones that stuck out to me. And it sucks that a lot of them are just remakes, but it's the state of gaming right now. Oh, and of course, Yakuza Ishin, when that comes in next week. I'll be playing that a lot. But my friends have been turning me on to a lot more indie games. And I do have some friends that are indie game developers. They recommended me Pizza Tower. And Pizza Tower is giving off a lot of the same vibes I felt when I made my Lisa series of videos. That was like some early Hikikomori videos when I was talking about Lisa. Same cult fan base, a lot of people who love it and are passionate and they're already making fan games and animations and like remixes of the soundtrack. Like there's a total pulse for Pizza Tower, so I do want to check that out. Smee Boy, nice. She likes Atelier. Yeah, that's my fault. I got my girlfriend into Atelier by coincidence. I want to say it was like back in 2010 or 11. I always collect. If you know this about me, I'm a video game collector. I like getting games physical, of course. And I always go a generation behind. So around the time the PS4 was coming out, I was doing my part to make sure that I was getting all the PS3 games that I was even moderately interested in. Even like the slightest. Hey, we got a Coca-Cola. We'll do another round. Get all your questions in. I'm going to do one more frame of bowling. I'll tell my story and then I gotta go. But let me tell you. So this is how I got her into Atelier. It was around the time the PS4 came out, and I was collecting for PS3, and I was trying to get anything that had anime on it. I know that sounds shallow, but anything that had an anime girl on it, I'm like, this is gonna be hard to find. Like if I don't get this now, I'm never gonna get it. And one thing I saw was Atelier Rorona, which is not the first in the Atelier series. I believe it's Atelier Violet, which came out for the Saturn. And then I was familiar with Atelier Iris, which came out for PS2. I played the first one. And then there was like also Mana Kamea is somewhere in there. But I saw this big box for Atelier Rorona, and it was $30 at GameStop. And I was like, oh, this looks cool. Like, I don't even know if I'll play this game, but I like the box. You don't see a lot of big box PS3 games. So it's like, yeah, I'll check it out for $30. And then I also bought, let me show you what else I bought. Okay, watch this. All right. You're going to laugh your ass off. If you don't already know, I own this. At that same GameStop, I would see, like, I saw Hyperdimension Neptunia. I've got the big box of that as well. And when I was at this GameStop, I noticed that they had, they have an app where you can see what they have in stock. So I was looking for limited edition 360 games. And I noticed that they had this in stock. I bought this out of a GameStop, guys. With my teacher's salary. Record of Agorist War Super Naughty Edition. Okay? They had to go... This is like behind a beaded curtain here. See how she's eating that? I hope that's a sausage. And then there's ice cream. I still have this sealed. I've never opened this. I've heard the Record of Agorist War franchise is dog shit. It's like a really super tactical RPG. And I recall buying this at that GameStop. And I'm not making any value judgments here. But this manager who was running the GameStop seemed like she hated men. Okay? Just from my own perspective, it seemed like the manager at this GameStop that I went to a lot just hated men. She was always short with them and angry, and I just thought we were disgusting. And when I came in here and said 1 copy of Record of Agorist War Super Naughty Edition, please, it didn't do any favors to change her mind. I didn't change her heart or mind that day. I recall she went into the back, like she had to go into the back manager's office, probably into the bathroom where they store all the NCAA and Madden extra copies, and pulled this out. And it was kind of in shitty shape. Like if you look on eBay, all these Record of Agorist Wars are kind of bent and dented. She got this out and she just sighed. She's like, that'll be $42.50. Can I have your address? Can I have your name and address? I'm like, can I just pay cash? I want to pay cash for this one. Can we not? Can we not? I don't have an account. That's me. I don't want this on the record. Just in case. I was like, can I get the black bag? Can you give me that black bag right there? Yeah, it's a gift. Put it in that. Anyway. That's so that's kind of how my mindset for collecting back in the day was. It was I would see like a big box and I would just get it. And it really didn't matter if it had 2 conditions. Anime, if it had an anime pro tag on it, I'd get it. And if it had a big box, I'd get it. And I gotta say, all those games that I did that for have risen in value exponentially. And I would not buy them today because they're too out of my price range. So let that be a lesson to you, someone out there. I don't know. Anyway, so I bought Atelier Rorona, and that game just sat on my shelf for a year. And my girlfriend would ask me about it. She goes, what's that game over there? I was like, Atelier Rorona? I'm like, I think it's like some sort of alchemy game. Like some sort of witch game. And she wasn't into like crafting RPGs at the time. Like she was into like Animal Crossing, I guess. There's a degree of crafting to that. And she kept asking me about it. And she's like, can I open it? And I was thinking in my head, I was like, I don't know, should we open this? And I was like, you know, what the heck, just open it. So we opened it up, and people will know Atelier Rorona 1 is a really difficult game because it's like Pikmin or something. You're on a time limit to do all your objectives, and if you don't do your time limit, it's just a bad end. And you have to start over again. And the first Rorona, I won't say the first one, the first in the, what do they call it, the Arland trilogy. There's trilogies. I know about this by proxy, by the way. Yeah, she played probably the most hardcore out of them, but then they started streamlining things and they got better and they're more relaxed on the time, the time aspect of it. So yeah, that's been her favorite game series, and then so every year it's the easiest gift that I can think of. It's like I always get her the Atelier. So yes, I guess by proxy I have the full set of Atelier games and Vanillaware. She's also into Vanillaware games, but I was also into I would have gotten those games myself regardless. So anything with George Kamatani assigned to it, I own. I did talk about Murasama, the Demon Blade, in my Wii video. There's a segment where I show off the PSP version of that. Yeah, Atelier is about the time management and crafting and material gathering and all that stuff. It's got a hypnotic soundtrack, I'll give it that. Like, whenever she's playing that, I'll pass out listening to the pan flutes. I call them the pan flute games because that's what they are. Oh, that's a bad split. That's a bad split. Let's see. Hot Dog says, Centuries Down. Do I not have a hot dog emote? I'm concerned that I don't have a hot dog emote. Alright, let's see if I can do this split. Oh! I was trying to trick shot there. Please tell me you didn't make eye contact with the GameStop man. I never make eye contact with anyone if I can avoid it, especially at GameStop. I've ranted about GameStop enough in my life, but they're forced to be persistent like no other. Like no other. I know from personal experience when I worked there, if you make eye contact or if you cross line of sight, they are like a security system, or Metal Gear. Like, if you're in their cone of vision, they're gonna be like, "Hey, man, hey, you got everything? What are you looking for? Did you hear about game? Current game? Current game? You've heard about current game? Oh well, I know what they're saying in the reviews. I know it's getting 3 out of 10s, but they're wrong. I've personally played it. This guy's in the store like 15 hours a day. Okay, they only have one guy working. He has not played this game." I know the Skeleton Crew fucking GameStop runs. He did not play game. Yeah, I've played it. It's great. Like, I'm gonna judge a fucking third key at GameStop's, like, assessment of current game. They don't even get commission at GameStop. I'll tell you that. You get hours on the schedule, okay? You sell pre-order of game, you get hours on the schedule. Don't bullshit me, man. Anyway, don't ever cross line of sight, sneak into GameStop if you gotta go to GameStop, and just constantly say no, or do the Mr. In Between. I don't answer questions. Whenever they ask you anything, say, "I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions. I don't answer questions." Keep saying that. Take it from Mikiko, okay? Go in there and just repeat that, and don't stop. Give them the money, get your game, and go. They cannot stop you. They will not. They won't answer. They can't. That breaks the GameStop GPT. Okay, that's how you break GameStop GTP. I don't answer questions. I rarely go into GameStop, guys. It's awful. The state of it is bleak. And it's been bleak for a decade. And it stinks. It stinks, and I don't like it. Yeah! On the final frame. Do I get a cola? Tell me I get that cola. Mint gum! We got enough for the mint gum. I've earned myself a treat. I've earned myself a little treat, don't you think? Don't you think? Unlocked. Nuker, I haven't watched any... Hey, it's good to see you, bud. I haven't watched any videos about any guy. I just watched Mr. In Between 3 times. It's one of my favorite series. It's on Hulu. If you got Hulu, watch it. Hekiko, thumb of approval. All right. Let's wrap things up. Thank you so much for turning out to the stream today. The support today was just monumental. I'm very grateful. Thank you. It's been a good birthday. Been a good birthday weekend. I'll say that. Things that could have gone really wrong are starting to look better. I'm still working on stuff. I'm aiming to crank out as much content as possible. That's my mindset. Just 10-minute videos. Old school YouTube way. 10-minute videos. Keep it at 10. A quick 10. So, I'm probably not going to be making too many long-form videos until, like, later this year. So, we're going to just keep up this content train. I've been Hikiko. This has been Deadly Premonition 2 PC. If you have it in you, if you have a wild hair up your ass, and you want to play Deadly Premonition 2, this is the best way, but it's not great. Just ask the GameStop about the Funko Pop economy. I did watch Sam Hyde deep fry $15,000 worth of Funko Pops, and that was amusing. Fun stream. Happy belated birthday, Hikiko. Thank you, Gardenback. It's been a great time. Happy birthday. Thank you, Smeen Boy 79. Thank you, Century is down for all the... That's right, Zach. That's right. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Speak now. I'm going to leave this one up on the channel for a bit. I'm probably going to put it into the Cool Stream playlist. So if you're watching this now and you wonder where it's going, after my new video's published, this will go in the Cool Stream playlist. That's where you can find it. So appreciate everyone.